Good evening, everybody. How are you all doing? Please let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from, what cities, what towns, what dominions, so I can shout you all out. We're about to look at Netanyahu's speech. I mean, I was halfway through it when I realized, okay, I should really... I mean, I didn't want to watch it, but I ended up watching it, and it's just, I mean, verbal diarrhea. So I have to come on here and, you know, go through it with you. He just finished. I didn't, you know, I missed half of it. So you're going to see, you know, my genuine reaction to everything. I mean, I'm only giving you genuine anyway, but let's say live and primary. So let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from, and I'll shout you guys out. We've got people from New York City, from New Jersey, from South Africa, from Ireland, from Canada, from Luxembourg, from Australia. All the Five Eyes are in the house. We've got people tuning in from Berlin, from Chicago, from Iran, from Tunisia, and on and on and on and on. I know you're all here. Netherlands. Everybody's here. So let me just walk you through what's going on, all right? Let me give you a glimpse into this speech. So Netanyahu, he comes to Washington and they've barricaded the entire city, okay? You've still got people protesting here and there. It looks a little bit like this, okay? Pepper sprays everywhere and so on. And they're also outside his hotel room. They want to make sure he can't sleep. So, funnily enough, Elon Musk is also attending. And he says he was invited by Netanyahu. Take a look.
For the Netanyahu address today?
I am.
You plan to attend?
I do.
And whose guest are you?
Netanyahu.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not surprised. You shouldn't be either. So let's take a look at the speech.
Our world is in upheaval. In the Middle East, Iran's axis of terror confronts America, Israel, and our Arab friends. This is not a clash of civilizations. It's a clash between barbarism and civilization.
Yeah, I think some of us would put it that way.
It's a clash between those who glorify death and those who sanctify life. For the forces of civilization to triumph, America and Israel must stand together.
It gets tiring. There's a lot of this clapping business. Every second they clap, the zeros start adding up in the bank accounts.
Because when we stand together, something very simple happens. We win, they lose.
Even Netanyahu's a bit confused. He's like, yeah, okay, I want to continue. You know, it's like watching a Hitler speech. You got all these people in the crowd going nuts, and they just look like a bunch of lunatics. That's the case here. That's the case. You know, the United States Congress is, I mean, it's an embarrassment. This is an embarrassment, really. I mean, just think. Biden isn't even there. Kamala Harris isn't even there. They wouldn't even send Blinken to greet him at the airport. Okay, so in diplomacy, that's a big snub. So they know that what they're doing is wrong. They know that, but they can't stop him from speaking either.
And my friends, I came to assure you today of one thing: we will win.
All right, I'm just going to start skipping forward because we'll be here all night otherwise. Jesus Christ.
Ladies and gentlemen, like December 7th, 1941, and September 11th, 2001, October 7th is a day that will forever live in infamy. It was the Jewish holiday of Simchat Torah. It began as a perfect day, not a cloud in the sky. Thousands of young Israelis were celebrating at an outdoor music festival. And suddenly, at 6:29 a.m., as children were still sleeping soundly in their beds in the towns and kibbutzim next to Gaza, suddenly...
Wait, was there a festival or were people sleeping in their beds? Which one was it?
Heaven turned into hell. 3,000 Hamas terrorists stormed into Israel. They butchered 1,200 people from 41 countries, including 39 Americans. Proportionately, compared to our population size, that's like 20 9/11s in one day. And these monsters, they raped women, they beheaded men, they burnt babies alive.
Wow, I think he's getting his lies mixed up. Hold on, wait, who is beheaded and who's... You know, I'm not even going to go into it. You all know about the Hannibal Directive. Please, I'm getting bored of repeating this. I'll let him continue.
They killed parents in front of their children, and children in front of their parents. They dragged 255 people, both living and dead, into the dark dungeons of Gaza. Israel has already brought home 135 of these hostages, including 7 who were freed in daring rescue operations.
He talks about them like, you know, it's like it's a spider in Lord of the Rings or something. You know, it's like they're just grabbing bodies and then crawling back into a hole. Which, man, the guy's really funny. Honestly, you have to give him that.
One of those freed hostages, Noor Gamani, is here in the gallery, sitting near my wife, Sarah. On the morning...
I wonder if he brought the 70 hostages that he killed in Gaza, if he found the bodies. Did he bring them with him as well? Oh, there she is. That's the one, the IDF soldier, you mean? Well... I mean, you can't be a hostage if you're a prisoner of war, can you? But okay, these are just details, you know, they're just details, of course. Here's Rashida Tlaib in the crowd, holding up a sign saying war criminal and guilty of genocide.
On the morning of October 7th, the entire world saw Noah's look of desperation as she was violently abducted to Gaza on the back of a motorcycle. I met Noah's mother, Leora, a few months ago. She was dying of cancer. She said to me, "Prime Minister, I have one final wish. I wish to hug my daughter Noah one last time before I die." 2 months ago, I authorized a breathtaking commando rescue operation.
Oh, right. You mean the mission where you killed, what was it? 200 people? Something like that? I'm losing count, honestly. There's so many massacres.
Our special forces, including a heroic officer named Arnon Zmora, who fell in this battle, rescued Noah and 3 other hostages.
Yeah, and also killed hundreds of Palestinians.
Noah, I think it's one of the most moving things. When Noah was reunited with her mother, Leora, and her mother's last wish came true. Noah, we're so thrilled to have you with us today. Thank you. Many hostage families are also here with us today, including Eliyahu Bibas. Eliyahu Bibas is the grandfather of those two beautiful red-headed boys, the Bibas boys, toddlers. And they were taken hostage with their mother and and Eliyahu's son. The entire family was taken hostage. Two beautiful red-haired children taken hostage.
Jesus, it's so pathetic. It's so pathetic. They had red hair. They were ginger specimens. Yeah, big deal. Okay, a lot of people have red hair. Who gives a crap? You know, I'm really confused because he talks about them as if they're the only people on the planet that have ever been taken hostage. Do you know how many people the Israelis take hostage every day? Just today, they went into the West Bank, doing another one of their raids. It's just like October 7th, right? Which they complain about so much. No mention of the people they kill, the people they kidnap. I guess, you know, they should do it on motorcycles. Maybe then people would care more if it was done on motorcycles.
Son Yotam, we have with us also the families of American hostages. They're here. The pain these families have endured is beyond words. I met with them again yesterday.
Well, they're alive. They're alive, aren't they? Can't say the same for a lot of people in Gaza. What about their pain? Do you know you have 20,000 missing children in Gaza? 20,000. Can you imagine how many family members? And I was just reading an article earlier from someone in Gaza, a parent, saying that they the whole day they just spend every day wondering where their child is. Are they buried under the rubble? Have they been taken by someone else? You know, are they maimed? Did they survive? Are they dead? You got 20,000 children like that. 20,000. I'm not talking like, you know, since the start of, you know, since 1948. I'm talking about the last 10 months.
And I promised them this: I will not rest until all their loved ones are home. All of them.
You killed 1/3 of the hostages. You killed them. You literally murdered them.
We're actively engaged in intensive efforts to secure their release, and I'm confident that these efforts can succeed.
Look at the people behind him. He's just got the Speaker of the House and no one else. No one else. I mean, it's true he's giving a speech to Congress. It's true. They received him. They're clapping like, you know, well-trained monkeys. But nevertheless, I have to underscore that Netanyahu has never been more isolated. I think that's quite obvious, right? I mean, forget the ICC and the arrest warrants. You know, those are details. They don't match with the Americans. But this is even for Biden and Blinken and Harris and all of them. You know, Lord Austin. They're all giving the bombs to Netanyahu to do this. Even they wouldn't show up, which is kind of telling. You know,
Some of them are taking place right now. President to the Biden families as well. Heartfelt support for Israel after the savage attack on October 7th. He rightly called Hamas sheer evil. He dispatched 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East to deter a wider war. And he came to Israel.
Yeah, I remember that. When the Americans dispatched aircraft carriers, yeah, and no one cares. the Yemenis would take him out at the drop of a hat, right? If they can hit Tel Aviv, they can hit the aircraft carriers. I know you want to keep denying that the USS Eisenhower was hit. It was hit, and you know it. All right, no one cares about you stupid aircraft carriers. They're targets in the Mediterranean.
To stand with us during our darkest hour, a visit that will never be forgotten. I want to thank him for half a century of friendship to Israel and for being, as he says, a proud Zionist. Actually, he says a proud Irish-American Zionist.
Yeah. Good lapdog. Good doggy. Yeah.
My friends, for more than 9 months, Israel's soldiers have shown boundless courage.
Yeah. You know, that was so courageous when they sprayed a car with a girl inside, Hind Rijal, with 300 bullets. That was so courageous. Really courageous. Yeah. You know, dropping bombs from the sky, like, you know, pressing a joystick. That's so courageous. It's the definition of courage. You know, when you're in the clouds and you don't even see what you're bombing. That's courage. Yeah.
With us today,
even Netanyahu he's like, what are you clapping for? I haven't finished.
is Lieutenant Avichai Reuven.
He brought another war criminal with him. How sweet. Right, so he brought an Ethiopian Jewish Israeli, you know. So basically what he's not going to tell you is that when you had a lot of Ethiopian Jews coming into Israel, they sterilized them without even telling them. Yeah, made sure they can't have children because they don't like black people. That's what Zionists behave like, you know, no surprise.
Is an officer in the Israeli paratroopers. His family immigrated to Israel from Ethiopia. In the early hours of October 7th, Avichai heard the news of Hamas's bloody rampage. He put on his uniform, grabbed his rifle, but he didn't have a car. So he ran 8 miles to the front lines of Gaza to defend his people.
Do any of you believe that story? Wow. Yeah, I mean...
You heard that right. He ran 8 miles, came to the front lines, killed many terrorists.
Wow. That's amazing, right? He just ran and then he killed terrorists. Like an action movie. He ran 8 miles. He's Forrest Gump.
And saved many, many lives.
Wow.
Avichai, we all honor your remarkable heroism. Another Israeli is with us here today, and he's stand up right next to Avichai. This is Master Sergeant Ashraf al-Bakhiri.
What's he done?
Ashraf is a Bedouin soldier from the Israeli Muslim community of Raat. On October 7th...
Oh, okay, I see what this is. He's brought the tokens. You know, that was my first impression. Look, we have a black Jew with us. There's an Israeli Muslim with us who is, you know, like a minority. But remember, 20% of Israelis are Arabs, right? They love throwing this number at you like as if it means anything. Man, it's so funny. He brought tokens with him. Amazing.
Ashraf, too, killed many terrorists. First, he defended his comrades in the military base, and he then rushed to defend the neighboring communities, including the devastated community of Kibbutz Be'eri.
I didn't do too much of a good job, did he, though?
Like Ashraf,
I mean, this is incredible, right? He's brought a brigade of token war criminals to stand with him. I'm wow. All right.
Alongside their Jewish, Druze, Christian, and other comrades in arms with tremendous bravery. Hero, Lieutenant Asa Sofer, is also here with us. Officer in the Tank Corps, and he was wounded in battle.
I was just about to say, oh, I mean, tanks are not really doing too well this season in Gaza, are they? They seem to be just standing and getting hit. All right.
He was wounded in battle while protecting his fellow soldiers from a grenade. He lost his right arm.
Wait, hold on. Was he in the? He was in the tank, and he drove over. I'm so confused by the logistics of this story.
And the vision in his left eye.
And oh god,
He's recovering. And incredibly, within a short time,
did he also run 8 miles to the front?
Asa will soon return to active duty as a commander of a tank company.
He's not coming back. Sorry to be so grim, but that's the reality.
Jonathan Ben Chamo, who lost a leg in Gaza and continued to fight. My friends, these are the soldiers of Israel, unbowed, undaunted, unafraid. They shall rise like lions. They have risen like lions.
I thought it's Phoenix. It's Phoenix that rises. What do you mean? A lion?
The lions of Judah, the lions of Israel.
Oh, shut up.
The IDF come from every corner of Israeli society, every ethnicity, every color, every creed.
Well, yeah, that's usually how it goes when everyone has to do mandatory military service. It means everyone. What?
Left and right, religious and secular, all are imbued.
Also, it's not even true because they're literally having they have a whole battle inside of Israeli society now about whether the Haredim, which are Orthodox Jews, have to do military service or not. But okay, that's a different story.
With the indomitable spirit of the Maccabees, the legendary Jewish warriors of antiquity. With us today is Yechiel Leiter, the father of one of those Maccabees. Yechiel's father escaped the Holocaust and found refuge in America. As a young man, Yechiel moved to Israel.
Oh, okay, so he's not indigenous to Palestine? Thank you. Yes, well, thank you for clarifying.
And raised a family of 8 children. He named his eldest son, Moshe, after his late father. Moshe became an exemplary officer in one of our elite commando units. He served with distinction for 2 decades while raising 6 beautiful children of his own.
This guy's going to go through the entire family tree, you know, like as if it has anything to do with what's happening today, but okay.
On October 7th, Moshe volunteered to return to combat. 4 weeks later, he was killed when a booby-trapped mine exploded in a tunnel shaft right next to a mosque. At his son's funeral, Yechiel said this: "If the state of Israel had not been established after the Holocaust, the image engraved in our collective memory would have been the photograph of that helpless Jewish boy in the Warsaw Ghetto holding his hands up in the air with Nazi rifles pointed at him. But because of the birth of Israel," Yechiel continued, "because of the courage of soldiers like my son Moshe, the Jewish people are no longer helpless in the face of our enemies."
You know what's funny is that a lot of people who are in the Warsaw Ghetto, and, you know, the people that Netanyahu was talking about, were disgusted with Zionism. They hated it. So I think they'd be even more disgusted with what he's doing right now. And the parallel that he chose to make there with Warsaw Ghetto is very interesting, because that's what I describe Gaza as. It's like the Warsaw Ghetto. You can call it an open air prison or a concentration camp, whatever you want. But it's really the closest that you can come to a modern day Warsaw Ghetto. And again, you know, just this idea that Arabs have to pay for what Europeans did to European Jews is ridiculous. Europe is completely safe for Jews today. There is no anti-Semitism in the traditional sense, like in, you know, World War II or pre-World War II. It just doesn't exist in that form. It's very safe. Ironically, the most dangerous place is Palestine after they created Israel in 48. So, you know, if it's really about safety of European Jews, they should just stay in Europe and demand reparations from Europeans. Got nothing to do with the Arabs. I don't know why they keep trying to link the two.
Sacrifice, and I pledge to you and to all the bereaved families of Israel will not be in vain. Never again must never be an empty promise. It must always remain a sacred vow. And after October 7th, never again is now.
Again, you see the projection here? So a lot of people have been bringing up the phrase never again precisely to apply to Palestinians, meaning, you know, no more Holocausts means no more Holocausts, including against Palestinians. It means everybody. And so he's stealing that because he knows everyone is saying it as an accusation against Israel of, you know, perpetuating a Holocaust. And now he's pretending like, you know, the Jews are at risk of some new Holocaust when he is the one perpetuating a Holocaust. It's very, very funny how, you know, every Israeli accusation is a confession. It's always projection.
Defeating our brutal enemies requires both courage and clarity. Clarity begins by knowing the difference between good and evil.
Again, the same thing, like the whole world knows that he is evil and calls him evil and sees Israel's behavior as evil. And then he tries to make it about, oh, we are good, Israel is good, and everybody else is evil. It's so funny. It's so funny. Everything in the speech.
Yet incredibly, many anti-Israel protesters, many choose to stand with evil.
There, you see? That's what I'm saying.
They stand with Hamas. They stand with rapists and murderers. They stand with people who came into the kibbutzim, into a home.
It's not your home. Look, man, just because you built a settlement on top of someone's land, it doesn't make it your land. The Palestinians invaded their own homes and their own villages on October 7th. Do you understand that? You are the one squatting, occupying their land. You're squatting, you know, you're just living there illegally. So they're trying to take back their homes. And you're saying, oh, they came in. Yeah, of course they came in. They want their bloody land back. Now go. Just this week, the ICJ is saying to the Israelis, all of your settlements in the West Bank are illegal. Get the hell out. Your occupation of Gaza is illegal. Get the hell out. Pay reparations. They don't listen.
The parents hid the children, the two babies, in the attic, in a secret attic. They murdered the families, the parents. They found the secret latch to the hidden attic, and then they murder the babies.
What the fuck are you talking about? What babies? What latch? What is this guy talking about? Besides, let's say he's telling the truth. If he thinks murdering babies is bad, which it is, why is he murdering children in Gaza by starving them? You know, many are dying through malnutrition. Their immune systems are weak, especially newborns. You remember there was a hospital, a Nasser hospital in Gaza. All of the Israelis forced the doctors to leave, and they left the babies inside of the hospital wards without any help. You know, these are premature babies or babies that need to be tended to. They're newborns. They just died. There's like 20 of them in one ward. It's on video. It's filmed. That's one example. One. I mean, the hypocrisy is stunning. So he says that's evil, right? Like, this is evil behavior to kill babies. And then he goes and kills, you know, 100-fold, 500-fold, you know.
These protesters, stand with them. They should be ashamed of themselves.
See, this is what he doesn't get, and this is a political mistake. It's a political mistake. Most people that are opposed to Israel right now don't actually stand with Hamas necessarily. They don't really care about what Hamas program is, what their political goals are. They just know Hamas are the ones fighting the Israelis. They're at the tip of the spear, right? They're the only thing that separates the Israelis completely and utterly wiping out Gaza. So that's why people support that. They support that Hamas's right to armed resistance, not necessarily Hamas itself. So he doesn't understand that. He doesn't understand that. They've been paid well.
They refuse to make the simple distinction between those who target terrorists and those who target civilians.
Again, projection. The Israelis do not distinguish. They bomb indiscriminately. When you use these giant 2,000-pound bombs, you can't possibly distinguish. It wipes out a block, an entire building block. Okay, and the Israeli logic we know from their Lavender AI, their program that they use for target selection. Just if you have a contact on your phone who has, basically you have a mutual contact with someone who is suspected of being in Hamas. That can mean anything, by the way. Are they a Hamas fighter? Are they a Hamas politician? Who the hell knows? But just having a mutual contact, that's enough for the program to select you for elimination. And they're doing it when you're at home. So they're killing most of the people, their targets, which they call terrorists, at home. Why? Because they know that they're going to be at home. So they're doing it while the entire family is with the target. So, you know, there is no distinction. They're murdering the whole civilian family with their so-called military target. But if you do that to the Israelis, oh my God. So, you know, you can't go and kill Israeli soldiers and the civilians next to them in the kibbutz because, oh no, that's a crime, right? That's a horrific massacre, a Hamas horrific attack. But the Israelis, it's totally okay for them to wipe out entire towns and villages and cities to get one person, or to bomb a UN school to get one person. That's fine. You know, collateral damage is okay for them to do. That's totally cool. They distinguish between terrorists and civilians, whatever that means.
Between the democratic state of Israel and the terrorist thugs of Hamas. We recently learned from the National Security Director, U.S. Director of National Intelligence.
He's getting his bullshit mixed up.
That Iran is funding and promoting anti-Israel protests in America. They want to disrupt America.
No, man, Iran doesn't have to do anything. You suck by yourself. You're so atrocious and hated and loathed by billions, honestly. No one has to do anything. You've done it yourself.
So these protesters burn American flags even on the 4th of July.
Oh my God, they burn America. Do they also strangle bald eagles with their bare hands? That is so corny. That is so dumb. What you know that he's making it up. They burn American flags on the 4th of July of all days. Oh man.
And I wish to salute the fraternity brothers at the University of North Carolina who protected the American flag against these anti-Israel protesters.
Look, I'm English, so as far as I'm concerned, it's a rebellious colony. Okay, we're not having any of these American flags. The propaganda kicks in. You know, this reminds me of the Bush years. It reminds me of you know, Dick Cheney and George Bush giving their speeches in there. It's really, but much more corny, right?
For all we know, Iran is funding the anti-Israel protests that are going on right now outside this building. Not that many, but they're there, and throughout.
No, you don't say. Are they with you in the room right now? For all we know, Iran is everywhere. You know, you never know. It's so funny. Like, he accidentally admits that there are people outside protesting him, and then he's like, "Oh no, wait, but there's not that many actually."
The city. Well, I have a message for these protesters. When the tyrants of Tehran, who hang gays from cranes and murder women for not covering their hair, are praising.
What is this, man? Like, the tyrants of Tehran who hang gays from cranes someone wrote that. That's someone sat down and wrote that like it's a bunch of slogans, like a poetic. I mean, that's just really funny. It's so awful. It's so tacky. Christ. No, you know, this is funny because I'm glad Netanyahu is doing this, because he's kind of he embodies and he exemplifies everything that's wrong with Israel's propaganda. It's why they're actually losing a lot of international support. It's why they're so hated right now. In addition to all of their crimes, of course, right? So in addition to that, it's just like they haven't changed. They haven't changed in 40 years. It's like listening to someone from the 1980s talk about Iran, talk about Hezbollah. The same thing. Nothing has changed, right?
Gays from cranes and murder women for not covering their hair are praising, promoting, and funding you. You have officially become Iran's useful idiots.
What do you mean useful idiots? I thought they're being paid by Iran. Which one is it? You know, it says a lot also about their vision of democracy. So, you know, they want you to be able to protest, but only the things that they want to protest, right? So your democracy is okay, but as long as it's anti-Iran and it's pro-Israel, then it's okay. But you can't burn an American flag, even though that's completely legal. It's completely fine to do that. It's Supreme Court decision on that in America. You can burn an American flag, right? You have total freedom of speech, supposedly, right? Unless you publish classified documents, then you go to jail. But
protesters hold up signs proclaiming gays for Gaza. They might as well hold up signs saying chickens for KFC.
That didn't go down so well with the crowd. But honestly, about gays, I mean, they want to... Look, if you're going to start talking about gay rights in the Middle East, and you're going to pretend that Israel is like progressive or something, I mean, this is just like something to appeal to Westerners. It's not even true. If you're a gay Palestinian, they will spy on you and blackmail you, and then make you feed the Mossad intelligence, right? So they'll say, we'll oust you, we'll out you, and basically tell everybody you're gay if you don't spy or give us intelligence. That's what Israelis do. This is documented, it's proven, right? So that's how much they respect gay rights. Also, they talk about gay rights, and then you can't even, there's no gay marriage there. So it's funny because they're trying to appeal to Westerners, but they don't even tell you the truth about how it really is. It's like with everything else, right? They tell you they have freedom of religion, but actually, if you're Christian, you get spat at. If you're Muslim, you see what they do in Al-Aqsa Mosque. I mean, it's incredible, you know? It's straight up propaganda.
Protesters chant from the river to the sea, but many don't have a clue what river and what sea they're talking about.
It's like, we want it up to the Nile. We're not talking, we want to go all the way. Man, he's really funny because his own party, you all know the Likud charter, his own party in 77 has that line from the river to the sea. It's where it comes from. That's where it comes from. The Palestinians took it and just, said, okay, we are going to have our state from the river to the sea, like it was. Now, if you look at the Israeli flag with the two blue lines, they'll tell you, oh no, it doesn't mean, it has nothing to do with the river and the sea. It's just two blue lines because it's from the Jewish faith. It actually, especially with Netanyahu's ilk and his party and his people, they want to go even further. It's not, for them, it's not enough. From the river to the sea, right? They want more.
They not only get an F in geography, they get an F in history. They call Israel a colonialist state.
You're from Poland. You're from Poland. Your name is Milaikowski. Yeah, you're a fucking colonizer. What? Yes. And it's not a state, it's a colony. It's just a colony. It's nothing else. It's a colony. This guy changed his name from Milaikowski to Netanyahu. You all know this. I taught you well. It's not just him. It's all his predecessors, right? All of the Israeli prime ministers. You remember Golda Meir, the only female one they've had? Her name is Mabovich. They're all Eastern Europeans. Every single one. Every single one comes from the Russian Empire, former Russian Empire. So they're Polish, Hungarian, Romanian, Ukrainian, Russian, you name it. Every single one, without exception. Without exception. And they all changed their names.
That the land of Israel is where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob prayed, where Isaiah...
You have no connection to these people, okay? You are from Poland. You have no connection to Abraham. You have no connection to Moses. You're not related to them, okay? If anyone's related to them, it's Palestinians, because they never left, because they share the same DNA, because they're actually Semitic. You're not Semitic. You're a white European Jew. That's it. You converted centuries after, you know, the religion came into existence. You got no connection to the region.
And Jeremiah preached, and where David and Solomon ruled.
Okay.
For nearly 4,000 years, the land of Israel has been the homeland of the Jewish people. It's always been.
Yes, and you're not part of those Jews who actually come from the area, you know, Semites that never left. You have no connection to them. I can't repeat this enough, man. Like, he talks about geography. Do I really need to whip out the map for this one? Because I'm going to get angry now. It's not even that. I'm going to do it. You made me whip out the map. Look, this is not difficult, all right? That's Poland, okay? And this is Greater Syria with Palestine there, okay? Poland over here is not the Middle East, the Levant, all right? The history he's talking about, the religion he's talking about, is not connected to him. And he changed his name to just to further deceive you, to further pretend that he is like from the land. That's what a con it is, you know?
In our home, it will always be our home.
This guy, he's a crusader, you know? He's like a crusader. It's like someone from, you know, some peasant from Italy or from France who doesn't even wash, pretending that, you know, Jerusalem belongs to them. Who the fuck are you? Go back to your village. What are you talking about? This exact same mentality. He's some random person from Europe who thinks that the Levant belongs to him. No different from a crusader. And they also set up little crusader states, right? They literally called them crusader states in the same exact area. And they killed everybody when they came there. It's very similar.
It's also the people who run those campuses. 80 years after the Holocaust, 80 years after the Holocaust, the presidents of Harvard, Penn, and I'm ashamed to say my alma mater, MIT, couldn't bring themselves to condemn the calls for the genocide of Jews.
Can somebody please, I'm really asking, can you show me one shred of evidence, a video, an audio recording, just one shred of evidence of someone actually saying that on any of these campuses? Just one. I don't have a discussion. I don't want to debate whether it happened. Just show me evidence, okay? Show me the evidence. And I will be the first one to condemn them. I will.
You remember what they said? They said, it depends on the context. Well, let me give these befuddled academics a little context. Anti-Semitism is the world's oldest hatred.
You are not a Semite. Netanyahu is not a Semite. He's Ashkenazi. He's not a Semite. Okay. Arabs are Semites. Jews, like Semitic Jews, you know, the ones that never left, they're Semites. He's not a Semite. Okay. So if you're going to start using the word Semite, you should know what it means. And honestly, I mean, when the way he says it, what he's saying on the surface, we all agree with it, right? Hatred of Jews is bad and hatred of Semites is bad. The thing is that he is the one that is dirtying the name of Judaism by associating it with Zionism, and he's the one killing actual Semites. Palestinians are Semites. When you kill, 180,000 of them, what is that but anti-Semitism? What is that?
For centuries, The massacre of Jews was always preceded by wild accusations. We were accused of everything from poisoning wells, to spreading plagues, to using the blood of slaughtered children to bake Passover matzahs. These preposterous anti-Semitic lies led to persecution, mass murder, and ultimately to history's worst genocide, the Holocaust.
What does that have to do with the Middle East? Nothing. Everything he's talking about happened in Europe. So go complain to the Europeans. This has nothing to do with Arabs. Literally nothing. Okay, all of these countries that persecuted Jews and kicked out Jews, England, France, Spain, Germany, Austria, all of this happened in Europe. Arabs never did that. Arabs took in the persecuted Jews. Why do you think so many of them went to Palestine?
Now, just as malicious lies were leveled for centuries at the Jewish people, malicious lies are now being leveled at the Jewish state. No, don't applaud. Listen.
They're such good lapdogs. They're just ready. They're ready. They're ready to jump up and clap. He's like, no, wait. I'm not done. You wait. Good doggies.
The outrageous slanders that paint Israel as racist and genocidal are meant to delegitimize Israel,
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Israel has no legitimacy. What is so difficult to grasp about that? Israel is genocidal. Yes.
demonize the Jewish state and to demonize Jews everywhere. And no wonder.
No, it's not to demonize Jews everywhere. It's nothing to do with Jews. It's got everything to do with Zionism. I'm tired of repeating this. This is so... He knows what he's doing. All right.
No wonder we've witnessed an appalling rise of anti-Semitism in America and around the world. My friends, whenever and wherever we see the scourge of anti-Semitism, we must unequivocally condemn it and resolutely fight it, without exception.
I agree. So stop killing Semites. Stop killing Palestinian Semites. You know, people who are actually Semitic.
And don't be fooled when the blood libels against the Jewish state come from people who wear fancy silk robes and speak in lofty tones about law and justice.
It's like, don't talk to me about things like law and justice. Who the hell are you? The ICC?
Here's a case in point. The prosecutor of the International Criminal Court.
Man, I was joking. I didn't know he was going to say that. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Has shamefully accused Israel of deliberately starving the people of Gaza. This is utter, complete...
No, my friend. Hold on.
...of deliberately serve the International Criminal Court.
ICC is directed at you. All right? ICC deals with people. The arrest warrant is for you specifically. All right? It's for you. Mr. Netanyahu. It's got your name on it.
Has shamefully accused Israel of... It's a complete fabrication. Israel has enabled more than 40,000 aid trucks to enter Gaza. That's half a...
Wow. Okay. How kind of you. 40,000? That's great. You know, I don't recall anyone asking Israelis to take control of how many aid trucks should enter Gaza. Like, what is that? We let X amount of trucks enter the concentration camp. Please witness how benevolent we are to the subhumans. Look how nice we are. 40,000 aid trucks. What more could you expect of us? Human rights?
Million tons of food. And that's more than 3,000 calories for every man, woman, and child in Gaza.
How generous of you. You mean basic fucking necessities? Wow. You know, you would think he was saying like 20,000 calories, you know, living gluttonous lifestyle. Who are you to start count? Why are you counting people's calories in Gaza? Who gave you this power over what they eat? By the way, he's lying, okay? The Israelis have a hunger plan. Well, the Nazis called it a hunger plan. That's my point. I'm trying to draw the parallel here. They calculated how many calories to give Soviet POWs, and to basically starve them to death. And the Israelis done the same thing in Gaza. How many calories can we give people just, so they can barely hang on to life? And of course, all of the food that they're quote unquote giving to Palestinians it belongs to Palestinians. So you've got a bunch of thieves in the house, okay? You've got thieves in the house that have taken the inhabitants hostage or kicked them outside onto the street and who are throwing crumbs from the pantry at the house owners. To give you an analogy, okay? There are thieves who've come into your house, they've kicked you out of your house, and now they're giving you a few, pieces of bread from the pantry. And they think that you should say thank you to them. That's what Netanyahu is. He's the thief in the house. Do you understand?
If there are Palestinians in Gaza who aren't getting enough food, it's not because Israel is blocking it, it's because Hamas is stealing it.
Really? Hamas is just stealing it? What are they doing with it? They're eating it? They're building rockets? What are they doing with it? Where's all this food? Since you keep finding, what did they find? They found a copy of Mein Kampf. Yeah. They found, they claimed there was an underground facility under the Al-Shifa hospital, which never turned up. They seem to know where everything is in Gaza. Where is all of this food? Enlighten us. I mean, seriously, think of what he's saying. He just said a second ago, how many tons of food are coming to Gaza? There's so much food, and then Hamas is stealing it. Where is it going then? Tell us where it's going, if you know that they're stealing it.
So much for that lie, but here's another. The ICC prosecutor accuses Israel.
I love it. He lies and he puts like another lie within a lie, and then he's like, so much for that lie. Christ. He's so funny.
Of deliberately targeting civilians. What in God's green earth is he talking about?
Well, when you drop bombs on hospitals and, when you blow up universities and you stop food from coming in and medicine from coming in, and you block, you don't give aid workers and UN workers stamps so they can get through into Gaza, which again, you control all the checkpoints for. Yeah, that's targeting civilians, with bombs and with lack of medicine and cutting off the water. Remember the first day what his defense minister said, what Gallant said? He called the people in Gaza human animals. That's the exact term he used. And he said, we're cutting off all the food, all the electricity, all of the water, all of the fuel. Now, you explain to me how that doesn't target civilians when the electricity grid in Gaza depends on fuel. So if there's no electricity grid, how is anything supposed to function in Gaza? Does that not target civilians? If you don't understand that, then shut the fuck up, please.
The IDF just dropped millions of flyers, sent millions of text messages.
Okay, I'm going to send you a text message to get out of your house. And if you don't comply, well, anything that ensues is your fault. I sent you a text message. You didn't, I sent you a text message. I dropped a flyer. Remember, Yemen, they also told the Israelis, get out of Tel Aviv, okay? You're in a danger zone right now. All right, they copied basically the crap that the Israelis drop on Gaza and mocked the Israelis by copying the design and issuing their own warnings back to them, saying you're in a danger zone in Tel Aviv. And then they hit them with the drone. I mean, that's really funny, right? That's really funny. So, the Israelis think if they give you a flyer, that they can drop a bomb on your head afterwards and that absolves them. No, that's not how it works. There's nothing in the Geneva Convention that says if you drop a flyer and then bomb someone that, it's not a war crime because you gave them a flyer or a text message. Besides, half the time the lines are down in Gaza. You know why? Because Israel controls them. So Israel shuts off the internet and shuts off the phone lines whenever it feels like it. And they've done blackouts multiple times. So who exactly is reading these text messages or seeing these things, and who said they have to comply? Maybe Hamas should have given you a text message and a flyer on October 7, and then you would just shut the fuck up now, right? You wouldn't have anything to say because they would have given you a text message, right?
Made hundreds of thousands of phone calls.
Oh, yeah, the roof knocking. So before this genocide, in the previous ones, they would do roof knocking. So they would call you and say, hey, we're about to drop a bomb on the top of your building. Like literally, that's not a joke. So we're about to drop a bomb on your building. Please leave your entire life behind and get out. And oftentimes they don't call, or there's just not enough time. I mean, if someone calls you and tells you that, can you leave in time? Do you think that you should have to leave anyway? These people are nuts. They're psychotic.
To get Palestinian civilians out of harm's way. But at the same time, Hamas does everything in its power to put Palestinian civilians in harm's way. They fire rockets from schools, from hospitals, from mosques. They even shoot their own people when they try to leave the war zone.
Oh wow, that's funny. Okay. So if you go to Israel, you can see in front of some of their schools, they have plaques where they proudly tell you in English that they used to hide weapons in the school or in the synagogue or in the theater or in the hospital. It's proudly written there. Right? So it's okay for them to do it. It's okay for Israelis to put weapons in hospitals and schools and synagogues. That's fine. But, dare Hamas fire from civilian areas? It doesn't even make any sense. They're not a conventional army. Okay, they're a guerrilla force. Okay, do you understand what that means? They're a guerrilla army. So it's made up of tiny units of people just defending their homes. So obviously, they're not going to go out into a field, the bad guy, evil person, axis of terror field in the open and say, hey, we're over here. Okay, we're outside over here, and now we're going to fire at you. And with that logic, he should be fine then with, the Yemenis or Hamas firing a bunch of rockets and drones and missiles anywhere in Tel Aviv, right? Because you've got military buildings everywhere. You've got the defense ministry. You've got, Netanyahu's office. You've got other, military attaches and headquarters, brigade headquarters. You've got, even in the kibbutz, which is something they don't tell you, in these settlements that they have all over the place. Almost all of them have military barracks nearby. You know why? Because all the Israelis are in the army. They have to have barracks nearby. So they have a weapons cache, which they don't tell you, right? So that according to him, that's fine, right? That's not firing from a civilian area.
A senior Hamas official, Fatri Hamad, boasted, listen to this, he boasted that Palestinian women and children excel at being human shields. His words, excel at being human shields. What monstrous evil. For Israel, every civilian death is a tragedy. For Hamas, it's a strategy. They actually want Palestinian civilians to die so that Israel will be smeared in the international media and be pressured to end the war before it's won.
Okay, well, why are you killing them then if it's to Hamas's benefit? What a load of rubbish. What a load of rubbish. What he's doing is he's mistranslating on purpose. So I don't know the quote he's referring to exactly, but I know the general smear that the Israelis always put forward. It's a common one. They do this all the time. So they tell you, oh yeah, the Palestinians, they love dying and they use dying as a strategy. No, that's nothing. It's got nothing to do with it. It's just that they value martyrdom. That's it, and there's nothing bad about that or negative about that. To be, celebrated for sacrificing your life for a better future, for a better cause. What's wrong with that? The Israelis, they're afraid of dying because they have this superiority complex. They think that they're better than everybody else, that everybody else can be killed because they're goyim, because they're human animals, but not them. They're superior. So that's what that's the core of the issue that he's trying to get at. Okay, but it's not a strategy. People don't die on purpose. Again, Israel is the one killing them. This is, at the end of the day, that's what's happening. So anything else is talk, right? Everything else is talk. At the end of the day, Israelis are dropping giant bombs on Palestinians in their homes. That's a fact. That's a fact. And at the end of the day, these people are colonizers and they have to fuck off back to where they came from. That's it. Anything else is just talk. You know, you can't shove religious texts in people's faces and say pretend like you come from this area when you've changed your name and you're clearly from Eastern Europe and everybody knows your real name and that you even say this yourself and admit this yourself. Go on Netanyahu's Wikipedia page. Go on the Wikipedia page of all these people that founded Israel and all the prime ministers. They're all from Eastern Europe. They're not from this area, so they're colonizers. All right. There's no getting around this. They are colonizers. And a colony has no right to exist because it's a colony, okay? When we are not in the 19th century anymore, we're in the 21st century. We don't celebrate colonialism, we fight it. The whole world understood that after 1945, the colonies have to go. That's it. The Israelis are the only people who think that there's an exception to them. They're the chosen ones. They're a bunch of lunatics, that's what they are.
This would enable Hamas to survive another day, and as they vowed, to carry out October 7th again and again and again.
No, they're telling you that if you keep occupying them, they will keep resisting. That's it. You can call it whatever you like, but that's what they're saying.
Well, I want to assure you, no matter what pressure is brought to bear, I will never allow that to happen.
Well, you did. And it's not that you allowed it to happen. The Israelis are just arrogant. They think their defenses are better than everybody else's, and they got owned. That's what happened. That's what happens to all these big military powers, or so-called big military powers. They end up turning into very tiny, small ones. And that's what's happening with the Israelis every day. It's not just October 7th. It's October 8th, every single damn day since. Total humiliation. So it's not up to him. This is over. The military image is destroyed.
Fallen for this Hamas propaganda, they continue to support Israel. And I want to say thank you, America, and thank you, senators and House members who continue to support us, continue to support Israel, continue to support the truth and see through the lies. But as for the minority that may have fallen for Hamas's con's job, I suggest you listen to Colonel John Spencer. John Spencer is head of urban warfare studies at West Point. He studied every major urban conflict. I was going to say in modern history. He corrected me, no, in history. Israel, he said, has implemented more precautions to prevent civilian harm than any military in history and beyond what international law requires. That's why, despite all the lies you've heard, the war in Gaza has one of the lowest ratios of combatants to non-combatants casualties in the history of urban warfare. And you want to know where it's lowest in Gaza? It's lowest.
I mean, the bullshit is phenomenal. It's like there's heaps and mounds of it. It's reaching the roof. It's reaching the ceiling. It's gone through the roof. Oh my God. Wow. One of the lowest. It's actually one of the highest. It's one of the highest, right? It's the highest in modern history. Once again, you see how he takes a piece of truth, right? And then he just completely flips it around and makes it an enormous lie. If you look at all of the wars in the 20th century, including World War I, World War II, pick any other conflict you want, all of them, you have a higher rate of civilian deaths in this war in Gaza than any of those. And that shows you can't call it a war. It's a massacre. It's a genocide. It's a Holocaust. I don't care what you call it. But, the result is clear. They're wiping out civilians.
In Rafah. Remember what so many people said?
Yes, hands off Rafah. That's what they said.
If Israel goes into Rafah, there'll be thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of civilians killed.
Yes, that's what happened.
Well, last week, I went into Rafah.
You did? Wow.
I I visited our troops as they finished fighting Hamas's remaining terrorist battalions.
The remaining terrorist battalions. So that's it. You know, the war's over. That's it. You got everything you want, eh? Okay. Well, what are you doing then?
I asked the commander there, how many terrorists did you take out in Rafah? He gave me an exact number.
He couldn't even say the name of them. He's like, how many terrorists did you take out in Kumbafach?
1,203.
Hold on. I'll let him repeat.
Take out in Rafah. He gave me an exact number, 1,203.
Wow.
I asked him, how many civilians were killed? He said, Prime Minister, practically none.
What does that mean, practically none? That sounds like something... Who would say something like that? It sounds like something Trump or Bush would say. Practically none. What is... Yeah, okay, but you say you know down to the single digit of so-called terrorists you killed, and then when it comes to it, it's practically none. It's not, it's practically none. Yeah. Okay, so how much?
The exception of a single incident.
How many?
Where shrapnel from a bomb hit a Hamas weapons depot and unintentionally killed 24 people? The answer is practically none.
Oh, okay, so 24 people. I like how he tries to make it, every single lie he tells, he tries to add like details in it, and there was a bomb that went off, and then a single piece of shrapnel, splattered, and then like it set off a weapons cache, and then that actually killed 24 people. He doesn't say 24. He says 24 people, like to try and minimize it with the wording, and that's practically none. This guy he sucks at lying. He's so terrible. He's so awful.
You want to know why? Because Israel got the civilians out of harm's way, something people said we could never do. But
yeah, okay, wait, hold on. I thought you still killed 24 people. So, how is that civilians out of harm's way? Oh, you mean in general? Oh, like with the ethnic cleansing stuff. Yeah, right. I understand why from their point of view that's fine. Like, just like grab all these hundreds of thousands of people and just like shove them to this side, then bomb everything, and then go and bomb this place and shove these people to that side, which is what they've been doing. Yeah, I suppose you can consider that getting people out of harm's way. Yeah, right. From an Israeli point of view, I'm sure it is. I'm sure. Yeah.
We did it.
Right, you did it. Hey, he did it. 180,000 people killed. He did it. Yeah.
Not be condemned for how they're conducting the war in Gaza. They should be commended for it.
Oh my God. He wants a medal on top of it. He wants a medal. He wants a medal on top of everything that he's done. He wants trophies and accolades and perks for his thugs that he's sent over into Gaza. Wow.
Fully opposed the false accusations of the ICC and stood up for the truth. These lies are not only libelous, they're downright dangerous. The ICC is trying to shackle Israel's hands and prevent us from defending ourselves. And if Israel's hands are tied, America is next. I'll tell you what else is next. The ability of all democracies to fight terrorism will be imperiled. That's what's on the line. So
Is that a threat? It sounds like a threat.
Let me assure you, the hands of the Jewish state will never be shackled. Israel will always defend itself.
I thought it's about democracies defending themselves. What do you mean the Jewish state now? What are you bringing religion into it for? This sounds very suspect.
My friends, in the Middle East, Iran is virtually behind all the terrorism.
He had a Freudian slip there. He's like, beyond, yeah, oh, right, no, they're responsible for it. Oh, yeah, okay. You see what he's doing in his speech here. So he started with the anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. Israelis are the victims of everything ever in the history of everything. And then he then goes on to say that, they did nothing wrong. They avoided civilian casualties. They killed all the quote-unquote bad guys. Remember, it's always good guys and bad guys, like a Cowboys and Indians movie, for children. It's to dumb things down. So So now he's moving on to the and this is why I want you to help me attack and start a war with Iran. That now he's beginning with that.
All the turmoil, all the chaos, all the killing. And that should come as no surprise. When he founded the Islamic Republic, Ayatollah Khomeini pledged, "We will export our revolution to the entire world. We will export the Islamic revolution to the entire world." Now ask yourself, which country ultimately stands?
Every revolution ever says that, everywhere. Literally everyone, okay? When there's a revolution, everybody says that. It's not new.
In the way of Iran's maniacal plans to impose radical Islam on the world? And the answer is clear. It's America, the guardian of Western civilization and the world's greatest power.
Okay, if America is the guardian of Western civilization, I want nothing to do with it. Yep. So when he talks about radical Islam, I find it so funny, you know, radical. What does that mean, radical Islam? What does that mean exactly? You know, we can talk about Al-Qaeda if you want. We can talk about ISIS. We can talk about the offshoots and all of those created by the United States and supported by Israel. That's a fact. And Netanyahu himself was visiting a lot of these types in, you know, when they were giving them medical treatment. They were bringing them over the border, the Golan Heights, and then putting them in hospitals. And he goes and gets photographed with them, right? So these are Al-Qaeda inside of Syria, and they obviously changed their names a couple of times, rebranded, you know, Jabhat al-Nusra and then Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. It's Al-Qaeda. So, you know, that's who America and the United and the Israelis support. That's what they're united behind, all right? So then it's really funny because they then go and make it sound like, you know, Islam is bad. Oh, and the worst of the Muslims are the Iranians and, you know, Hezbollah and Hamas, etc., etc. So the people that oppose them politically and geostrategically, which literally has nothing to do with religion and everything to do with politics. So I find that very, very funny. He's a hypocrite. He's a hypocrite. Okay, and he's a liar. I'll just remind you, when Trump assassinated Soleimani, which of course the Israelis got him to do, the first people to you know, congratulate and thank Donald Trump were ISIS, which really says it all.
As its greatest enemy. Last month, we heard a revealing comment, ostensibly about the war in Gaza, but about something else. It came from the foreign minister of Iran's proxy, Hezbollah, and he said this: "This is not a war with Israel. Israel," he said, "is merely a tool. The main war, the real war, is with America."
Yeah, you've been standing there for an hour telling us how America is giving you all the weapons and support you need. So yeah, that's what he means. What is so controversial about this?
Iran's regime has been fighting America from the moment it came to power.
Again, this is so funny. No, America has been sanctioning Iran from the moment the revolution happened in '79. Every single word that comes out of his mouth is like the opposite of reality.
In 1979, it stormed the American embassy.
Yeah, I was there a few weeks ago. I was there a few weeks ago. Do you know what it's amazing. It's a wonderful museum. And it's a spy station. It's a giant spy station. And they were just using it to spy on the Iranians and spy on the Soviet Union. And that's what it was. And, you know, the leader that they had, the Shah, I visited some of his palaces, you know, stinking rich, like just, you know, wealth that is so exorbitant. It's just unbelievable. Just a puppet feeding him oil, you know, he's just installed by the CIA and MI6, and people got pissed off. That's what happened. And also the police that they had in Iran, the Savak, trained by the CIA, they tortured people. I mean, it's just, there's so many things, you know, that the Americans were doing to Iran long before 79. Okay, they wanted to make sure that they could have a good steady supply of oil, free oil, and that they have someone to buy all their weapons, and that was Iran. Now it's Saudi Arabia, actually. But yeah, so there was a coup in 53, and it was the Americans and the United Kingdom that did that, and that's a fact. That's a historical fact.
It held scores of Americans hostage for 444 days.
Well, if in the embassy they've got bios like on tripods for every single one of the hostages, which I found interesting. I'd never heard of that, or I'd never known about that. You know, so they were kind of honoring them in that way. But also, the people worked in the embassy. They even said no one stormed it. They just asked if they could come in, and we let them in. It's unbelievable. And they liberated all the African Americans and the women, and let them out first. And then they also wanted to make sure that, you know, the Shah would be extradited back to Iran to face justice, and the Americans would refused to guarantee that. So, you know, everything they tell you in the Hollywood movies and Argo and everything Netanyahu is saying and all the history they teach you, it's missing so many details. And, you know, they just don't want you to know that. They want you to hate other countries for no reason, when actually they don't care about the embassy being stormed. They care about them losing their oil, their free oil, and their oil. And they also care about the fact that they got exposed, that it was a giant spy station. You know, you got to see for the first time how an American embassy really works inside. And they got rooms. I saw it with my own eyes. They got rooms and rooms just full of like document forging, you know, giant machines and satellite receivers and transmitters. And it's a giant spy station. That's what it is.
Since then, Iran's terrorist proxies have targeted America in the Middle East and beyond. In Beirut,
Jesus, how can I forget? Didn't he just bombed an Iranian embassy? Netanyahu bombed an Iranian embassy just in April, just a few months ago. He's got the nerve to talk about embassies and storming embassies. I mean, no one in history has ever done an airstrike on an embassy and then you know, refused to even apologize. I mean, the Americans did it with the Chinese. At least they apologized. At least I still think that was well. Let's put it this way: it was not necessarily an accident, right? But they had the pretense, or at least the common decency, shall we say, common decency of pretending to apologize. With the Israelis, it's just straight up like, yeah, screw you. Here's 6 missiles from you know from an F-35 on your consulate in Damascus.
they killed 241 U.S. servicemen. In Africa, they bombed American embassies. In Iraq, they supplied...
What? What the hell is this man talking about? Iran bombed embassies in Africa? What is he smoking?
...and beyond. In Beirut, they killed 241 U.S. servicemen.
Okay. Now look, we have a problem here. He says 241 servicemen. You see, that's the problem with Americans turning their embassies into giant military bases. You don't need 200 soldiers inside an embassy. That's a military base. That's not an embassy anymore. Okay? And the next day, the Americans got the message and left. Now, I'm not saying that that's a nice thing to do or it's legal, but I'm just making the case that Americans shouldn't turn their embassies into military bases. I'm using the opportunity to further that point, okay? Nevertheless, I don't know what the hell he's smoking about American embassies being bombed in Africa. That has nothing, literally nothing to do. Those are your friends, okay? That's Al-Qaeda. Those are your friends.
In Africa, they bombed American embassies. In Iraq, they supplied explosives to maim and kill thousands of American soldiers.
Yeah. What's wrong with that? Don't fucking invade Iraq then if you don't want to get blown up. Go back to your country. Don't come with tanks and bombs to Iraq if you don't want to get blown up. What is inconceivable about that? When you invade Iraq as an enemy combatant, as an invading army, an occupying army, you're going to get shot at. You know, it's amazing. Israelis and Americans think they can just barge into other countries and, you know, if someone shoots at them, they become victims. Fuck off. Get out.
In America, they actually sent death squads. They sent death squads here to murder a former Secretary of State and a former National Security Advisor. What?
Okay, first of all, the term death squads is synonymous with U.S. foreign policy in Nicaragua. I think it's so funny that he's bringing up these words that describe him and his friends, right? And trying to use them against other people. It's really, it's hilarious. So, no, Iran does not assassinate people. That's not a thing. The Israelis assassinate people. The Americans assassinate people. They do that kind of low, scummy stuff. Iranians don't do that. It's just, it's not something that's part of their MO. Do you understand? It's not their foreign policy. They don't do those things. There's anyone who says otherwise is just doing Israeli propaganda. There's no evidence or proof for that. It's like when they say, oh, Hamas are going to do some bombing in Europe. When have they ever done that? They have no interest in doing that. This is completely made up. It's Mossad CIA propaganda.
And as we recently learned, they even brazenly threatened to assassinate President Trump.
What the hell are you talking about? Look, no one I don't know what he's even talking about. Besides, even if they did that, I mean, Trump started assassinating Iranians first with Soleimani. So, and you could argue he's number 3 in the country, more or less, right? Or was number 3 in the country, more or less. So, you. And I'm saying that's even if it were true. It's not true. I don't know what he's talking about. He's so, this is such an Israeli way of thinking of things, or such an American way, like, oh yeah, assassinations and, death squads. They don't need to do that. They're wiping the floor with you right now in Gaza. They're wiping the floor with you on the battlefield. They have no interest and no time and no energy and do not give a crap about assassinating your stupid leaders. It doesn't work like that, okay? It doesn't work like that. They already have you in a headlock. Waste of time.
But Iran understands that to truly challenge America, it must first conquer the Middle East. And for this, it uses its many proxies, including the Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas. Yet in the heart of the Middle East, standing in Iran's way, is one proud pro-American democracy.
Tanzania. Yeah, I'm just throwing names out there because he's the same way that he is. I mean, this is really funny because he didn't say Shia this time because it doesn't fit his narrative. So usually the narrative is that, well, Iran is supporting Shia proxies, right? They're supporting Hezbollah, they're supporting the Houthis, they're supporting Al-Assad because they want a Shia they want to dominate the Middle East with Shiism. And now, because Hamas are obviously Sunni, it doesn't fit their narrative because it's made up, right? It's completely made up. This is like the American-Israeli teaching in universities and military schools. Say, well, you've got Sunnis and you've got Shias and everything, and that's it. And they don't like each other, and that's complete nonsense. Evidenced by the fact that you have perfect cooperation between Iran and Hamas. Shias, Sunnis, no problem. So now he's trying to make it about like Iranian domination. Please explain to me what Hamas are doing that is advancing so-called Iranian domination. This guy, it's so comical. Like, I'm shocked at the level of stupidity that you have in Western politicians and journalists. I mean, it takes 2 seconds to pick this guy's entire speech apart, and everything he's saying just crumbles. And they've no idea what they're talking about, and they just swallow this garbage. Amazing. It's really amazing. So, no, it's nothing to do with when he talks about, for example, the United States helping arm Israel. That's fine, right? Or the United States arming Ukraine, that's fine. That all these NATO countries, foreign countries arming Ukraine, that's fine. Right? There's no religious or nationalist motive behind it. But if Iran tries to help its direct, literal neighbors with weapons and with economic, military, and political means, suddenly this becomes like a giant nefarious. It's an evil plot. It's really not that difficult. You've got Americans and Israelis who invaded Iraq and invaded Syria and Palestine, and also bombing Yemen, and Iran is helping those people to defend themselves. That's it. There's no catch. There are no Iranian military bases like the Americans put 800 bases around the world. This is not a thing. The Iranians don't go around putting giant military bases and trying to occupy people. That's an American thing. You understand? The Israelis go around buying off politicians and trying to control foreign policy for Western countries to make sure they have diplomatic and political and also cover and also support. That's not how it works, okay? These are just countries that have a common enemy because they're all being sanctioned by the United States, they're all being attacked by Israel, and they're trying to defend themselves. It's that simple. There's no need to complicate it.
My country, the state of Israel. They chant death to America. For Iran, Israel is first, America is next. So,
well, yeah, again, when you starve people and you bomb them and you assassinate their leaders, they will chant death to America and death to Israel. Yeah, that's actually a very irrational thing to do. Have you seen what is going on in Gaza? Have you seen what is going on, what your bombs do? You bring death, you don't chant it. Like, America and Israel literally drop death. They bring actual death to people, and then they sit there and say, why are they saying death to Israel? Why are they saying death to America? Again, it's like this whole victim complex, you know, like, oh, why do they hate us? They hate us because we're Jewish. They hate us because we're free. You know, it's like they come up with every reason in the world to avoid admitting, oh, they hate us because we're assholes.
when Israel fights Hamas, we're fighting Iran. When we fight Hezbollah, we're fighting Iran. When we fight the Houthis, we're fighting Iran. And when we fight Iran, we're fighting the most radical and murderous enemy of the United States of America. And one more thing. When Israel acts to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons.
Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons. God, please stop with this. You're giving me a headache.
Nuclear weapons that could destroy Israel and threaten every American city, every city that you come from.
What the hell are you smoking? What is this guy smoking? Please. Look, honestly, who appears more unhinged to you? And who would be more dangerous with nuclear weapons? The Iranians or the Israelis? Do the Iranians go around doing what Israel is doing in Gaza? No. Because they're not crazy. So let's imagine for 1 second that they really had nuclear weapons. Okay, they have nuclear weapons. The problem is that the Israelis already have nuclear weapons, and even with conventional bombs, they are completely insane. They just use them indiscriminately. They call everybody they don't like a terrorist. They bomb embassies. They, do whatever they want. They bomb Syria. They bomb Lebanon. They bomb Iran. They bomb Palestine, all at the same time, and bomb Yemen just last week. So those people, the Israelis, should not have nuclear weapons. They're the last people on the planet who should have nuclear weapons, and they have them already. Okay, so he's sitting there, well, standing now, talking about a threat of nuclear danger. He is the nuclear danger. He is the one who has chemical weapons being dropped on Gaza and Lebanon. He is the dangerous one. Do you understand? So everything he says is projection.
Not only protecting ourselves, we're protecting you.
Give us money. Give us bombs. We're protecting you. It's for your own good.
From the speech, remember this. Our enemies are your enemies. Our fight is your fight. And our victory will be your victory.
And our arrest warrants at the ICC will also have your names on them for being complicit.
Israel's defeat of Hamas will be a powerful blow to Iran's axis of terror.
Okay, here we go. Now he's changing the name. It used to be Axis of Evil. Now it's Axis of Terror.
Another part of that axis, Hezbollah, attacked Israel on October 8th, a day after the Hamas attack. It has launched thousands of missiles and drones against us. 80,000 of our citizens.
Yeah, because you're on their land. Maybe you should try leaving their land and then see what happens.
Citizens in northern Israel evacuated their homes, becoming effectively refugees in their own land. We are committed to returning the
Refugees on their own land. See, another term that applies to Palestinians, he's stolen it and then used it for Israelis. Really? Well, first of all, it's not your land because you're all colonizers. You come from somewhere else. And, well, even if it's true, taste of your own medicine. It's a taste of your own medicine. How's it taste? Not very nice, does it? The Israelis are being put in hotels. They're not even sleeping on the street, okay? They're not being put in the conditions that Palestinians have been put in. Let me show you something from just today. This is from today, okay? Look at the state of misery and destitution that they inflict on Palestinians, okay? This is being a refugee on your own land. This, what I'm about to show you. Look at this.
Where to run, where's safe. Gunshots.
All right, you see that humiliation and this chaos. They've been doing that to Palestinians for since 1948, for over 70 years now. You could have filmed that any time. You could have filmed that 10 years ago. You could have filmed that 50 years ago. Same thing, over and over and over and over again. And now he's complaining because these settlers who've gone up north where Lebanon is had to, be inconvenienced by being placed in hotels. Oh my. Poor you poor colonizers. Oh no. You living in a hotel? Oh no. You poor victims. Oh no.
them home. We prefer to achieve this diplomatically. But let me be clear. Israel will do whatever it must do to restore security to our northern border and return our people safely to their homes.
Yeah, do it. Go ahead. What's stopping you? Do it. Right? When he says we prefer to do it diplomatically, what he's hinting at there is please come and help us. Please come and help us, because we are really, really getting cooked by Hezbollah. And that's a fact, right? I've done a million videos on how they've destroyed the entire Iron Dome network. They've set all these settlements on fire. It's a disaster. I mean, like, one of the worst humiliations the Israelis have ever suffered. It's unbelievable. No wonder the media don't cover it. No wonder. I mean, anyway.
Last Friday, a third Iranian proxy, the Houthis, attacked Tel Aviv with a deadly drone. It exploded a few hundred feet from the American consulate, killing one person and injuring 9. On Saturday, I authorized a swift response to that attack. All our enemies should know this. Those who attack Israel will pay a very heavy price.
Oh, yeah? And what happened afterwards? The Houthis fired missiles at you to show you that they just don't give a fuck about your threats.
And as we defend ourselves,
defend yourselves. You can't defend yourselves from a bunch of pigeons. You got hit by undetectable drones twice in the same day. You got hit by one and then got hit by another one, even when you were on high alert. You bunch of tools.
and as we defend ourselves on all fronts, I know that America has our back. And I thank you for it. All sides of the aisle, thank you. My friends, for decades, America has provided Israel with generous military assistance, and a grateful Israel has provided America with critical intelligence that saved many lives.
Whose lives? What are you talking about? What intelligence? Please explain this to me. Who is Israel gathering intelligence on that it relates to saving American lives? Who? I mean, this makes literally no sense. It sounds like a threat, more like, we have dirt on you. We got lots of dirt on you. We're saving you by not releasing it, so please give us more weapons.
We've jointly developed some of the most sophisticated weapons on Earth. I choose my words carefully. We've joined.
Again, he keeps talking about sophisticated weapons. The problem is they don't work because they losing against Hezbollah. They're losing against Hamas. They just got humiliated by the Houthis, by Ansar Allah. They say Houthis as a derogatory thing, like, oh, they're all following al Houthi. What are these sophisticated weapons? They're outdated. They're crap. This is not the 1970s anymore.
Jointly developed some of the most sophisticated weapons on earth that help protect both our countries. And we also help keep America.
Once again, who does America need protecting from? Can someone please explain to me? Is Mexico attacking the United States? Is Canada attacking the United States? Is someone firing missiles at the mainland USA? They just make up threats. They just make things up, you know?
Boots, we help keep Americans' boots off the ground while protecting our shared interests in the Middle East.
Now that's just insulting. Now that's just insulting. Do you remember what he said at the start of his speech? He said on October 7, the United States sent 2 aircraft carriers to the Mediterranean to help Israel. How is that keeping American boots off the ground? When you're asking them to help you, you just said 2 minutes ago, our wars are your wars and our enemies are your enemies. So you're clearly saying that we would drag you into wars. We want you to fight with us. And then he acts like, oh, we're protecting you. What? So many contradictions. So many questions.
I deeply appreciate America's support, including in this current war. But this is an exceptional moment. Fast-tracking U.S. military aid can dramatically expedite an end to the war in Gaza and help prevent a broader war in the Middle East. In World War II, as Britain fought on the front lines of civilization, Winston Churchill appealed to Americans with these famous words.
Okay. Do you know the Israelis tried to assassinate Winston Churchill? So I'm not really sure they're quite fond of him. Yeah. They did. They tried to kill him. And they tried to kill Harry Truman as well. But they don't tell you that, right?
Give us the tools and we'll finish the job. Today, as Israel fights on the front line of civilization, I too appeal to America. Give us the tools faster and we'll finish the job faster.
Give us more bombs and we can just wipe out the Palestinians, you know, in an expedited manner. And then we can just get this whole genocide thing over with. That's what he means. And when he says Israel is fighting on the front lines of civilization, I suppose I understand what he means, but, you know, Israel is rather on the other side of that front line, yeah?
Could end tomorrow if Hamas surrenders, disarms, and returns all the hostages.
Yeah, you too. This could end tomorrow if you disarm, you return the 9,000, what is it now? I mean, already they had thousands before the war began, then they started arresting, 9,000 extra since October 7th. So you go ahead, you disarm, you fuck off, leave Palestine and give the hostages back. And then, you know, we can settle the matter, right? That applies to you. The funny thing is the ICJ is only telling one party to do those things, and it's you, it's the Israelis.
But if they don't, Israel will fight until we destroy Hamas's military capabilities, end its rule in Gaza, and bring all our hostages home. That's what total victory means, and we will settle for nothing less. My vision for that day is of a demilitarized and de-radicalized Gaza.
He keeps stealing, man, this guy just keeps ripping off of everything the pro-Palestine movement is saying. You're going to demilitarize, man, whether you like it or not. You know, this is not even a debate. It's going all downhill from here on out. Everything. Israel's economy destroyed. The settlers are fleeing. The military is in shambles, demoralized, losing, humiliated. The reputation destroyed. I mean, you're the one who is going to concede. Make no mistake. I mean, whether you end up in the ICC in The Hague or not, I really don't give a crap. Just end up outside of Palestine. This idea like he has a vision for Gaza. Well, guess what? We've got a vision for Palestine, and you're not in it.
Israel does not seek to resettle Gaza, but for the foreseeable future.
Again, no one cares what you seek. You have no authority here. Go back to Poland.
We must retain overriding security control there to prevent the resurgence of terror, to ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel.
You've got 1,200 Israelis killed, and then you've got 180,000. I mean, God knows what the number is, because the whole point is they destroyed the infrastructure so much we can't even count the dead. Okay, so let's just say it's 180,000 now, according to the Lancet magazine, which is one of the most respected health journals on the planet. So, who do you think needs to protect themselves more from the other? The ones that have 1,200 casualties, or the ones with 180,000 casualties? Obviously, it's the latter. Okay, you can't say that the one with the inferior number of casualties needs protecting from the other. That's ridiculous. Especially when the rhetoric from the Israelis is violent and genocidal. Especially when they've been doing this over and over. I mean, just pick a year: 2009, 2014, 2021. There's always these bombing campaigns of Gaza. There's the occupation in pre-2005, and then this is a de facto occupation in siege. I mean, come on, man. We're going to sit here all night. You are the security risk, okay? The Israelis are the security risk. They're the ones that need to be demilitarized and de-Zionized, and they will be.
Gaza should have a civilian administration run by Palestinians who do not seek to destroy Israel. That's not too much to ask. It's a fundamental thing that we have a right to demand and to receive. A new generation of Palestinians must no longer be taught to hate Jews, but rather to live in peace with us.
Let me ask you a question. Where do you think Palestinians came from? They fell out of the sky? Who do you think Palestinians are exactly? Okay, most of them are Muslim today. Not all of them, but most. You got 10% of Christian, right? Like in Syria. And before that, what do you think they were before that? Before Islam? Maybe Christian, right? And before that? You see where we're going with this? So, he keeps bringing up the Bible and waving it in people's faces like as if, it's a housing contract. And talking about the Jewish people. Yeah, okay, but the Palestinians never left this area. So they are the most closely related to, the Jewish people that you keep talking about, which, again, you're not part of because you come from Poland. And he acts like they have a problem with Jews. They don't have a problem with Jews. That's nonsense. Why did you all go there? Why did all the European Jews that were persecuted by the Russians, persecuted in the United Kingdom, persecuted in Spain, persecuted in Germany, persecuted in France, in Austria, why did all of them go to Palestine if it's so dangerous? If Palestinians have a problem with Jews, why did all of you go to Palestine? Isn't that the last place you would go? And yet you all went there. How weird. It's almost as if you're lying. There is no problem with Palestinians and Jews. There's a problem with Palestinians having their land taken by Zionists who happen to be part of those European Jews. That's the problem, right? He won't tell you that because it doesn't fit the narrative, okay? So Palestinians, they accepted all these refugees from Europe, these Jewish refugees, and then they stabbed the Palestinians in the back and took their land, took their literal homes, right? You got Palestinians who went out one day and they came back to find that their homes are just, the locks have been changed. This has happened to countless people. And I mean, never mind the massacres in Deir Yassin and so on. There's no problem with Jews. There's a problem with Zionists, and he knows it.
Militarization and de-radicalization Those two concepts were applied to Germany and Japan after World War II.
Here we go again. Yeah, he keeps stealing things from what anti-Zionists are saying, and it's so funny. It's so boring. Once again, there is nothing to demilitarize in Gaza. There is no, base with nuclear weapons like in Dimona. There are no airfields. There is no conventional armed forces in Gaza to begin with. Okay? So what are you demilitarizing? Guerrilla fighters? You are the one with nuclear weapons and chemical weapons and the largest amount of aid from the United States. You are the one that is a security threat. Your record indicates that. Your wanton disregard for human life indicates that. And again, on October 7th, we don't even know who killed all those people because the Israelis used tanks and helicopters because they behaved like this. They thought it's Palestinians, so they just started firing everywhere like they do when there are Palestinians. They just assumed that. And then they have their Hannibal directive on top of that. So they even, knowingly fired on their own people just to avoid or prevent them being taken hostages. So we don't even know who killed all of those people. And he's blaming that on Palestinians. So who needs to be demilitarized? I think it's the people that kill their own people, who have things like Hannibal directive that need to be demilitarized, who are a threat.
And that led to decades of peace, prosperity, and security. Following our victory, with the help of regional partners, the demilitarization and de-radicalization of Gaza can also lead to a future of security, prosperity, and peace. That's my vision for Gaza.
How generous of you. Please, let us all bow down and worship you. We are all just Amalek and Goyim. You are the chosen ones. Yes, your vision for Gaza. What, you want to dig a canal? You want your own canal? You want to, you want to turn it into a hub, a little Mediterranean gas hub for you to make money with? Your plans? Yeah.
Now here's my vision for the broader Middle East.
Oh,
it's also
gets better, huh?
Shaped in part by what we saw in the aftermath of World War II. After that war, America forged a security alliance in Europe to counter the growing Soviet threat.
This guy doesn't know his history, okay? Also, he mentioned Japan and Germany. I mean, the United States turned them into colonies, all right? They have biggest military base in Europe and Germany. I mean, not that the Germans don't deserve to be under occupation after what they did to, Europe with 2 world wars. Anyway, that's a different matter. Now, you saw what happened. The second that, they're back, now they start rearming and they start selling weapons and arming Ukraine, and they were selling weapons to Saudi Arabia. Anyway, the point is that they became US colonies, and he's talking about Europe. I mean, the Marshall Plan was not, the Marshall Plan was just to get American companies taking over the European market. And again, the security alliance aspect of that when it comes to NATO is, again, just to put American bases everywhere. That's it. It's just imperialism.
Likewise, America and Israel today can forge a security alliance in the Middle East to counter the growing Iranian threat.
Christ, what do you mean forge an alliance? You haven't even begun? And then, what do you have now then? I thought that's an alliance. What are you doing? Oh, Jesus.
All countries that are at peace with Israel and all those countries who will make peace with Israel should be invited to join this alliance. We saw a glimpse of that potential alliance on April 14th. Led by the United States, more than half a dozen nations worked alongside Israel to help neutralize hundreds of missiles and drones launched by Iran against us.
Man, he's really funny. He picks the most embarrassing date to advertise his pathetic alliance. What happened on April 14th? What, Jordan helped you shoot down some drones? The Americans and French helped you shoot down some drones? You got pounded. You got humiliated. Never before has Israel been struck like that. And the first time by Iran, by the way. First time. Right? Christ. And they hit all of the key sites. They hit the Mount Hermon base, the one in the occupied Golan Heights. They also hit the Nevatim base. They hit all of the top Israeli bases, wiped them out clean. And he's picking that as like a successful date.
Thank you, President Biden, for bringing that coalition together. The new alliance I envision would be a natural extension of the groundbreaking Abraham Accords. Those accords saw peace forged between Israel and 4 Arab countries, and they were...
You never had beef with those Arab countries. Who is fighting you from Bahrain? Can someone show me where Israel was at war with Bahrain? Or the UAE, which is not even a real country? What is he talking about? Again, they love throwing this word peace in there. Like they just want normalization so they can, legitimize Israel, because that's what the Israelis crave. They're a colony pretending to be a country. And if you don't recognize them as a country, well, it doesn't work out. So they need their neighbors, especially, and especially Arab countries, because, they're traditionally allied with Palestine, to legitimize Israel, to say, okay, we accept you. We will have trade with you. We can have, tourists going back and forth, and like those cringy ones from Morocco I showed you. God. So he just wants Israeli warships to be able to dock in Tangiers in Morocco. He wants the UAE to they normalized ties with the Israelis anyway. It's just they brought it out from underneath the table. That's it. Palestinians weren't invited to any of this or involved in this in any capacity, just like everything that has to do with the Palestinians. They talk about peace with Palestinians, but they leave them out of it. They have no say in the issue whatsoever, like the partition plan, It's amazing. It's really amazing. So he basically, he wants, I suppose he's jealous of the NATO base they put in Jordan about a week ago, and now he wants his own or something. I don't know.
Supported by Republicans and Democrats alike.
Yes, the war
We could
hawks.
call... I have a name for this new alliance.
Oh, drum roll, please.
I think we should call it the Abraham Alliance.
Oh, no. Who could have seen that coming? Wow, the Abraham Alliance? Damn. What's next, man? What's next? The Abraham Alliance? You're going to have another David Sling, Goliath sword? I mean, it's just like, it's so corny. They're trying everything possible to like tie their treaties and weapons, to stuff they just pick out of the Bible. Like, look, we're so Jewish. We're so Jewish, even like our weapons are named after things that are Jewish. The treaties are Jewish. The alliances are Jewish. Everything is Jewish. We are Jewish. Oh, by the way, we changed our names. I think it should be called the Milaikovsky pathetic. I don't know. I'll come up with something better. I'm not gonna spit it out just now. Give me a second.
I want to thank President Trump for his leadership in brokering the historic Abraham Accords.
Ah, there we go. He just gave it to me. The Milaikovsky Trump arrow slingers. There we go. I think that's a better name.
Like Americans, Israelis were relieved that President Trump emerged safe and sound from that dastardly attack on him, dastardly attack on American democracy. There is no room for political violence in democracies.
I think we're going to stop it now because it's just getting too comical. It's getting too comical, really. This guy coming here and talking about, good and evil and talking about democracy and talking about, self-defense. It's really funny. It's really funny. It's like, again, it's like Hitler coming and talking about rights for, well, actually, to be honest, here's a good, and it's like when, he would come and say how oppressed the Germans are. And then, they just carry this mentality on. And they're doing the same thing here. They've got everything going their way. And it's like, no, we are the oppressed ones. We have the right to commit genocide. We have the right to, destroy entire cities and strips of land and countries and demolish them and remold them to our liking, because we have to take care of our security, right? Our Lebensraum, right? So instead of Lebensraum, they give you promised land. It's a similar thing. And instead of Untermenschen, they give you Goyim or Amalek. Lots of similarities. So, I don't want to do the Hitler comparison all the time and all the way, because people overdo it a lot. But if we had to have a modern one, it's definitely Netanyahu without question. If there is a modern one, it's not Trump, okay, or whatever. I mean, Trump is garbage, but if you're really going to draw a parallel, it's the Israelis without question. That's why you call them Zio-Nazis. There's so much in common. There's so much in common with their rhetoric, with what they're doing, with the violence, the degree of violence, the wanton violence. It's all similar.
For all the things he did for Israel, from recognizing Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights to confronting Iran's aggression.
Wow. So here we have Netanyahu trying to, confirm that the land is still stolen, right? So those are the Golan Heights over here. They belong to Syria, and he's insisting they're Israeli. So did you see this doesn't stop with Gaza? This is funny because they like to say, well, Putin, he's not going to stop with Ukraine. He's going to go after all of Europe. And Iran is not going to stop with Hamas and the Houthis and Hezbollah. They want to take over the whole Middle East. They like to do projection, the Americans and Israelis. If you look at their behavior, they're the ones that keep stealing more and more and more land, right? They keep invading more countries, putting more bases in more countries. And this is the same thing with the Israelis. What Netanyahu is doing now, he's moved on from his Iran is the threat, right? So that part of the speech where Iran is the threat, your war is, our war is your war. We need to work together. You need to give us money. And now he's trying to say, I want you to reaffirm that Israel can keep growing and growing and growing, right? We have a vision for Gaza. We have a vision now for Syria, keeping a chunk of it with the Golan Heights. And we want to make sure that the whole Middle East, all of it, we got more Abraham Accords. We're going to have more alliances, more military alliances, and more diplomatic alliances and normalization of ties, so that Israel is accepted in the region and Israel is bigger and wider. That's what he's doing. Okay? That's the crux of this section.
Aggression to recognizing Jerusalem as our capital and moving the American embassy there. Eternal capital, never to be divided again. I'm hopeful about the future. I'm hopeful about Israel because my people, the Jewish people, emerged from the depths of hell, from dispossession and genocide.
Dude, you're from Poland. You're not the Jewish people. You happen to be Jewish and from Poland, but you're not the Jewish people. Lots of Jews want nothing to do with you, as a matter of fact, and they keep saying that. Look, man. Look, I'm gonna. Let's do a summary of his speech now. I think it's a lot of it was to be expected, but nevertheless, okay. So first, he tries to glorify the Israelis, right, as they're heroes. That one of them ran 8 miles to the front to shoot a bunch of Arabs, who are of course all terrorists, and we are the good guys. So he tries to justify everything that they've done as being good. That bombing Gaza is totally fine. And then he tries to say that anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism are the same thing. How dare you protest against Israel? We are the good guys. How dare the ICC issue arrest warrants against... He doesn't say me. He says the state of Israel, like as if he equals Israel and Israel equals Jews. So again, he tries to paint the Israeli military as some kind of force for good when the whole planet knows that it's committing genocide. And it's the closest thing to the Nazis that we've had since the Nazis. And then he tries to delegitimize the entire pro-Palestine movement. And then he tries to make sure that, the whole Congress supports his war efforts when it comes to bombing Iran. And he tries to make sure that, he can continue doing what he's doing against all of the other resistance factions in the region. And then he tries also to make sure that he's going to have more diplomatic cover for the Israelis when they want to normalize ties with other countries, meeting Saudi Arabia. That's what he's talking about. And he wants the Americans to help him with that and also help him build more military alliances. I mean, he's dreaming. This guy is really, he's nuts. He's honestly nuts. None of this is going to happen. This is not happening. He'll be lucky not to end up in The Hague. That's already a magical achievement if he doesn't end up in The Hague. Many people are upset that they're not arresting him now that he's landed in the United States. And something that's so weird that I'm going to show it to you because I think it really encapsulates everything that Netanyahu has been doing in this speech, which is he's telling the Americans, I own you. He's saying Israelis own you. You're going to do what we want. You're going to give us money. You're going to fulfill our security interests. And he's trying to, convince the sheep and the masses that, oh yeah, it's in your interest. It's in your interest. Iran this, Iran that, Muslims this, Muslims that. But he's telling the people in the room, the ones that wield power or pretend to in any case, or appear to, he's telling them, I own you. Israel owns you. You are, you're subservient to us. And when he's saying that, he means that quite literally. And I'm going to show you in a second what I mean. Because when Netanyahu comes to the United States, he brings his dirty laundry with him. And that is a literal statement. This is a headline from the Washington Post. Israel's Netanyahu brings his dirty laundry to Washington, literally. Okay? So, over the years, the Israeli leader has developed a reputation among the staff at the US president's guest house for bringing special cargo on his trips to Washington, bags and suitcases full of dirty laundry, according to US officials familiar with the matter. The clothes are cleaned for the Prime Minister free of charge by the US staff, a perk that is available to all foreign leaders, but sparingly taken advantage of given the short stays of busy heads of state. Quote, the Netanyahus are the only ones who bring actual suitcases of dirty laundry for us to clean, said one US official who, like others, spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss the details of a foreign leader's visits. After multiple trips, it became clear this was intentional. Now look, don't get me wrong. Foreign dignitaries, if we can even call Netanyahu a foreign dignitary, sure, they're entitled to all sorts of perks, but again, this is intentional. Do you understand the message here? He's coming to the United States with his dirty laundry. He's saying, go wash it for me and deliver it to me cleaned with a smile on your face. It's a political message here. He's basically trying to humiliate the United States White House and the staff into showing them who runs things. It's kind of childish, actually, when you think about it. It's ridiculous, But the fact he's doing this over and over again, what is it, 8 times he's done it now? I forget, but, it's ridiculous. He's doing it on purpose, and they're saying this, they're admitting this themselves, right? The staff. I'm giving you this anecdote to kind of round off his whole speech, because that's what he's doing. He's coming here, and he's telling all of you, you belong to me, you're going to do what Israel wants. Now, you tell me, number one, do you think this man is someone who's truthful? Do you think what he's been saying this whole speech is something that is anchored in reality? I don't think it is. I think it's a complete opposite. So that means that everything he's saying about it being in the United States' interest is not true, right? It doesn't benefit the United States to help Israel. It doesn't. So he's putting everybody in danger. He wants basically, the United States, and he's already done this, by the way. You have to understand that the United States, its reputation is toast. If it even had one, it's toast. No one, really no one, and it's a miracle there was anything left after Iraq. No one, it takes the United States seriously anymore. It's over. Ukraine and now Palestine, it's too much. It's way too much. And in fact, all of these genocidaires are getting up and clapping for him over and over and over and over again, like a bunch of well-trained doggies, is incredible. And, Blinken and Biden and Kamala Harris, they dodged this meeting because they know what it means. They know what a historical moment it is. And I say that in a negative sense. I don't mean that it's a historic moment in a proud sense. On the contrary, they know what they're doing is wrong. They don't want to be in history books. Do you understand? That's why none of them greeted him when he got out of the plane, which is very unusual. That's why they haven't taken any photos together. That's why they didn't come to the Congress, because these photos are going to end up in history books. This speech is going to be studied by history students, by people in history class for generations to come. Like you look at Hitler's speeches and think to yourself, what a bunch of lunatics, the people that are clapping for him. What the hell is wrong with them? That's the same thing going on here. Do you understand? So the people in the room are the fanatics. And honestly, Biden is himself a fanatic, and Netanyahu correctly points that out. But Biden is too, he's not really lucid or there right now anyway. So, I mean, what difference would it make? Do you understand what's going on? Really crazy stuff. I mean, really crazy stuff. That's why I wanted to come and go through the whole thing with you, because I understand the value and the importance of this. I mean, it's really historic in a very bad way. He's done more damage than good, Netanyahu, by coming here. He shouldn't have come. He's an idiot. If he really cared about having a political future and being smart, he would not have done this. The Israelis suck at propaganda, and actually we should be thankful. We should thank him for doing this. He's so good at humiliating himself. But first, he humiliates the United States, and that's what you have to understand. That wherever Israel goes, the United States is going to follow. And he said that, and he meant it. He meant it, and it's true. It's true. So, if their reputation is toast, so is the United States. That's something you have to understand. And the military image as well. Equally toast. I mean, the Yemenis, they're humiliating Israel and the US at the same time. The whole posturing that they have in the Middle East, it doesn't mean anything. No one is scared anymore. No one cares. So everything is changing in the world right now. All of it is changing. It's crazy. It's crazy, really. Wow. I mean, we're witnessing historical times. It's crazy, really. There you go. I mean, it was like, you're watching Hitler speak. And remember, this is the first speech he's done in the United States since this genocide began. He even came once when Obama... So listen, he was not happy that Obama was signing the nuclear deal with Iran. So he came and gave a speech to Congress without even telling Obama, which, I mean, you don't go to... if you're a head of state and you go to another country, you don't go without informing the head of state. These things are actually planned weeks, months in advance anyway. So he goes there and just, speaks to Congress like as if the president, it doesn't exist. Can you imagine? So that's another indication. It's not just the dirty laundry here. All right? It's not just this. It's Netanyahu's behavior in general. He is going down and he's taking the Americans with him. So I'm not done yet. I'm going to talk about further humiliation. But again, I'm going to just ask you guys to please tell me in the comments where you're tuning in from, what city, what town. And I'll just remind you that they demonetized my YouTube channel because they don't like criticism of Israel, right? God forbid. So if you're able to, please support the channel on Patreon, on PayPal, and Rumble. It's much appreciated. And I'll read some of your donations and comments in a second before I move on. So we've got a donation on PayPal. This one is from Belen, who says, "Thank you for always providing great journalistic content, Papi Chulo." Thank you. And we've got another one here. This is from Erkin. There's no comment, but thank you nevertheless. We have another one here from Monica. Thank you, Monica. We've got one just now that came in, and this is from Bilal, who says, "For a free press, amen." This one is from Daniel, who says, "Keep fighting the good fight." You know it. And we've got another one as well, another contribution from Maria, says, "There's nothing more terrifying than the evil sleazebag presenting itself as good. Also, are there robots programmed to clap and cheer?" Honestly, I was wondering myself, in the Eurovision Song Contest, they had anti-booing software for the Israeli singer. So I was thinking to myself, maybe they've got pro clapping, they've got pro Netanyahu clapping software, who knows? It sounded, I don't know, I don't want to be too, skeptical here. There are enough lunatics in the United States to come and clap for him like that, unfortunately. So, thank you, Bruce, and thank you, Denise, for joining on Patreon. I'll play you a crab dance, and then we shall continue just momentarily, all right? And then I'm gonna go into detail about the drones, and I think you guys, you shouldn't miss this whatsoever, because we're gonna go and talk military stuff. Let's go.
Clap for that, you stupid bastard.
Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Listen, fuckhead, you have fucking crossed the line, claiming I'm the enemy. You got that, you goddamn son of a bitch?
I don't give a fuck what you think, bitch.
Good morning. Sunday morning.
Cut that bitch off.
Thank you for Iron Dome.
Thank you.
والله انتوا كلاب بصراحه يعني ماشي نشتغل عادي.
We lied, we cheated, we stole.
China. 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 China.
And you ain't black.
There's always the macro.
And then there's the micro.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
You talking to me?
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'll have 2 number 9s. A number 9 large.
we got him.
Because I have to do it myself. I know it's not.
I've fallen and I can't get up. Get up. Get up.
Disgusting!
She was 12, I was 30, but anyway. We'll do it live! Fuck it! Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Why attack Sanders?
Wait, you're getting nervous, man. Calm down. It's okay. Okay.
Suck my dick and choke on it. I yield my time. Fuck you.
All right, thank you guys very much. So let me dive right into the next topic. So I wanted to talk about what happened with the Israelis and with the drones and everything. Okay, so we need to recap. All right, we need to recap what's going on. Let me pull up the map quickly, all right? Okay, you guys can see that? We should be ready then. Good. So I just want to explain to you how humiliating the last month has been for Israel militarily. Just to recap, okay? We've had drones going and picking up God knows how many hours of footage from the most sensitive Israeli sites. So the first drone was from Hezbollah. They went and recorded the port in Haifa. They recorded all the petrochemical storage facilities. So basically, this was a message to the Israelis that we know where all your economic sites are located and we can strike them. If you can't see our surveillance drone, you won't see the attack drone either. Okay, so that was number one. It was Hezbollah telling the Israelis, we can see your economic sites, right? So that was about, I think it was 18th of June. 18th of June, okay? So just over a month ago. Then the second episode, they released the second one. They flew a drone over the Golan Heights. So the Golan Heights are in Syria, okay? Okay, so first of all, this is Haifa. That was episode 1, right? Here. And they flew over a bunch of air bases as well and airstrips. So it was both economic and military. Episode 2, they went up here to the Golan Heights and they filmed Israel's most sensitive spy base, which is located at an altitude of 2,000 meters on top of Jabal el-Sheikh or Mount Hermon, okay? And again, unimpeded, and they released the footage, right? It's like 10 minutes of footage. Look, this is episode 1, right? So just to give you an idea of what it was like. I mean, they're just showing all of this stuff as a message to the Israelis. Like we can see your spy bases, your economic the most important parts of your economy, the air bases, your missile production sites, every single thing, the airstrips. Now they release part 3. Okay, so now they just released part 3, and it's an RAF air base actually. It used to be part of the Royal Air Force in Palestine. Let me show you. Okay, here it is. So this is another 8-minute video. I'm not going to play you the whole thing. They're just casually filming. The Israelis have no clue. So this is also a message to Netanyahu right now while he's in the US. He's like, you know, we can get you, and we'll do it even when you're out of the country, take you by surprise extra, even more. So that's Hezbollah. That's more on the surveillance side, okay? Now Yemen took it to another level, okay? Yemen struck Tel Aviv also with an undetectable drone. And the embarrassing thing is that after they struck Tel Aviv, the Israelis were on high alert, right? And they went and did it again a second time, 6 hours later. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So do you see how the Israelis, their Iron Dome, I mean, it's completely useless. Forget about that. Now, I'm talking about their radar systems, about their early reconnaissance, their early warning and their reconnaissance systems. All of it has either been shot down or doesn't work. So just imagine if these people are stupid enough to start an actual war with Hezbollah. I mean, they will wipe out the country in 24 hours. And that's not me saying that. That's an Israeli military official saying that. Man, I believe them. I mean, look, you know, we can speculate, but this proves it. This footage shows you the Israelis, they have no clue what's going on. And this was filmed yesterday, by the way, this clip with the Ramat David Air Base, okay? Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And it's funny because when the Yemenis struck the USS Eisenhower, which is like, you know, a crown jewel of the United States Navy, they were denying it in the press. Jesus, look, let me just show you. Let me show you. If you type a USS Eisenhower and Yemen, you'll come up with a million headlines. Look, it's saying, oh, it's false claims. See, look, that's the first one. False Houthi claims, right? Houthis say they launched attack. US denies. Disinformation campaign. US denies. Right? False claim. So they want to put this idea in your head that it didn't happen. And what is their source? The US Navy. I mean, it doesn't get more state media than that. You're not supposed to ask the US Navy, you idiot, because the US Navy are going to deny it. Obviously. You know why? Because it's embarrassing. So you have to find out another way. Okay? You have to dig. You have to look what's going on. Well, the captain of the ship, you know, the captain, what was he doing at the time? He posts a video, an old video, where he's filming the whole deck and posting that, taking that from Instagram, posting it on Twitter. Why would you do that? You would do that to fool people into thinking that the deck is fine when you're actually trying to cover it up. Now, if the Yemenis can hit Tel Aviv 2 times in the same day with an undetectable drone, you really think they can't hit the USS Eisenhower? These people that are writing these articles are trash. They're morons. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand the Middle East. They don't understand the weapons that are being used. They are living in the 20th century. They are in denial. They cannot accept that the United States is not a military power anymore. They cannot accept that their carriers are crap. They cannot accept that the Israelis got owned on October 7. Their defenses didn't work. Their intelligence didn't work. And every single day since then, they've been getting hammered in Gaza. They've been getting hammered in the north by Hezbollah. They've been getting hammered by the Yemenis. Even economically, just look at the siege the Yemenis have imposed on them. So we're living in a new military and political era. And these dinosaurs are still stuck writing this garbage. How can you write this garbage? It's amazing. It's amazing. So, you know, I just wanted to drive this point home. We have, in the span of a month, Hezbollah infiltrating the top spy bases that the Israelis have, their top, air force and airstrips, their top air force and military and naval sites, their economic sites, their military, so their armaments production sites, every single thing, and filming it, not for 1 minute, 10 minutes. That's just what they released. Who knows how much they filmed? So that's tons and tons and tons of intelligence. And they know what every single thing is. They're even pointing it out in the video. They've gathered so much intelligence, it's amazing. And then we've got the Yemenis going and hitting Tel Aviv twice. I mean, you know, the funny thing is, it's reminiscent, for me at least, if you look at the way the Yemenis did this, they didn't just go from, you know, they didn't go in a straight line to Palestine. To Tel Aviv is called Jaffa originally, right? That's what they named the drone after. But you see what the distance is? It's 2,000 kilometers, right? So they didn't go in a straight line. What they did is they went over Sudan, they went over Egypt, okay? I'm just showing a very rough thing here. I'm just doing it live in front of you. They went like this, and they came in from the west. Because the Israelis, they didn't expect the Yemenis to have such a drone. Number one, biggest mistake, underestimating the enemy or the adversary. And then intelligence mistake, right? They made an intelligence mistake. So they knew that there was an assessment mistake, an analysis mistake. They saw the drone, they claimed they saw the drone, but they didn't know what it was, and they didn't do anything. See, if that's true, if that's true, that further proves the point that this worked, because by coming in from the Mediterranean Sea, from the west, okay, by coming in from this direction instead of coming from the south, the Israelis had no idea that this was going to be a Yemeni drone. They're not looking to the Mediterranean. Why on earth would a Yemeni drone come from the Mediterranean, right? That's why a Yemeni drone came exactly from the Mediterranean, because they're not expecting it. Beautiful. I mean, just the idea of it is just beautiful. And it reminded me of Singapore. You know, it reminded me of Singapore and the Japanese invasion. Okay, you see Singapore down here? So when the Japanese were about to invade, the British army thought that they're going to come from the sea and they're going to come from the south, right? That's the logical thing. Because from here, up here, this is all jungle. You can't go through that easily. You can't bring tanks through that. So they thought. It's hard to march troops through there, so they thought. And it turns out the Japanese the infantry are on bicycles, and their tanks can go through the jungle. And they did come from the north, and they didn't come from the sea. And they overran Singapore, and it was the biggest humiliation of the British army in its, you know, I mean, throughout the entire history of the British army, biggest humiliation. Biggest humiliation. So, you know, you have a similar thing taking place right now, you know, as an analogy, where you have a so-called military power, right, that is undefeatable, that is insurmountable, that is incontestable, suddenly being taken out and blindsided, literally blindsided by a so-called inferior or weaker force. Well, guess what? They're not weaker anymore, are they? If they can do that to you, they can do it any day. It's over. It's over. You know, really, I'm telling you, man, I've never been more convinced of, you know, the demise of the Zionist occupation and the American occupation more than now. It's crazy. You know, every metric that you look at, even just, you know, the soft power, where you look at their image internationally, destroyed. Never mind their economy, never mind their military. I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke. They're so screwed. They just, if the media were more honest, you would get a fuller picture. You would get a more complete picture of what's going on. But they're not going to do that because it's too embarrassing, right? They're still trying to hang on to bits and scraps, and you know, it's all downhill from here on for them. I'm telling you that. I'm telling you that. And imagine this is just a taste. It's a little appetizer. This is not even, we haven't even begun to serve the meal, all right? There are cooks in the kitchen right now preparing stuff that I don't even know, right? No one knows. It's going to take us all by surprise. The same way that October 7th took us all by surprise. I mean, who the hell thought of paragliders? You know, it's ingenious. It's ingenious. And this is the thing, is that taking people by surprise, I mean, this is the number one asset that you can do in any conflict, in any war, never mind you know, war of national liberation. And so what's going to happen is that it's not just the new weapons that we're going to see being used, it's also the way that we see conventional weapons being used that is going to be also new and very novel. The Israelis are afraid of that, especially when it comes to Hezbollah. They don't know what arsenal they have. They're trying to guess and find out the whole time and provoke them into revealing it. But I don't think it's going to work. And I'll tell you also one more thing. The Yemenis produced this drone locally. No one gave it to them. That's even more crazy. I think that's crazier than the fact they hit Tel Aviv, right? So despite all the difficulties, they managed to produce that. Amazing. Need is the mother of invention. Right. So we're living in very, very interesting times. Very, very interesting times. Everything, the whole world is shifting right now. I never thought we would see things like this. And as I was saying with Pepe Escobar earlier, to see both the United States and Israel declining at once. Well, I mean, I guess it makes sense because they go hand in hand, but nevertheless, it's happening at such a rapid pace. And the fact that Biden is, his brain has melted. And also Netanyahu coming and giving this stupid speech and being as hated as he is and doing it without any vice president, any secretary of state, without any president behind him or with him. I mean, it's so emblematic of where Israel is headed. Just isolation and decline. That's where it's all going. Incredible, really. Thank you very much to Omar. Says keep up the good work, and we also have another donation. This one is from Bell. Thank you, Bell, and also thank you to Rodolfo, who says incredible journalism. You're most kind. And we also have a contribution from Ali, who says, Richard, I have a burning question. How on earth did Starmer get elected? Which idiots voted for him, or are the elections rigged? Are idiots just thinking they want conservatives out? It's a mix of everything. Well, when I say the elections are rigged, I mean in the sense that the media, they don't want voters to be informed, so they can make an informed decision. So that in that sense, they're sort of rigged. You understand? And I think it's a fair assessment to make, because if you're supposed to have educated voters to engage in actual democracy, and then you don't educate them, well, then this is what happens. And when you don't have fair debates, and you don't invite all the candidates, and you don't, you give unequal fair airtime, yeah, I think that counts as rigged. But I mean, the more important point here, rather than that, is that most people thought, okay, well, if we vote for them, then we'll get conservatives out. I think we have to remember that we had conservatives in charge from, what was it, 2010? I'm forgetting now. 2010, Gordon Brown. After Gordon Brown, they took power, and then so I mean, 10 years at least, over 10 years. So most of the prime ministers weren't even elected. So that's another thing. There's a issue of legitimacy. They had no mandate from the people. It's a mix of all these things, and just how did people's lives improve? They just didn't improve. They didn't. But the mistake is thinking that Labour are going to come and help. Thinking that Labour are going to make things better. They're not. They're just conservatives, and I wouldn't even say conservatives light, right? We have two far-right parties. That's it. That's the truth. And I think, it's hopeless. It's hopeless. You got the same thing in America right now, where they're trying to convince people to vote for Democrats because, oh my God, you have to save the country from Donald Trump because democracy is something, this and that. I mean, they're both crap. They're both crap, and they're both on the far right. They've shifted that Overton window over to the, to an extreme where they just try to appeal to, instead of appealing to the left, Democrats try to appeal to the right. Same phenomenon in the United Kingdom. It's going nowhere. So I think people, out of a misguided sense of obtaining change, and a misguided sense of blocking other parties, they end up voting for lesser of two evils. It's the same kind of mentality, and it doesn't end up ever being a lesser of two evils, does it? Thank you, Dennis and Raymond, for joining on Patreon. I'll play you a crab dance just momentarily. I'm just finishing these. Thank you to Scott for saying, Richard, I watch you daily from Nantucket, Massachusetts. Says you're doing an amazing job reporting the truth. Keep up the good fight, and God bless. Thank you, Scott. You're very kind. And I'm very happy to hear that. We have another one as well. This contribution is from Maria. Says, thank you for providing the truth to those that will listen. Thank you. And the more the merrier, yes. So we have another contribution here as well. A kind donation from Cassandra. Thank you very much. And from Rutherford, it says, sporting good fight. So we have, this one is a good one. This is from Devin Watts. Good to see you, Devin. And Devin is asking about the Havara Agreement. That's very good. So in 1933, a group of Zionist German Jews made a deal with Hitler and were spared from the Holocaust and settled in Palestine. They were the only group of German Jews to be spared. So there are a lot of interesting agreements, deals, cooperations that happened between Zionists and Nazi Germany, right? So another thing, for example, is the fact that you had goods, just products being imported from Nazi Germany and being sold in Palestine by Jews, right? Which is weird because when you say that out loud, it's like, why would they do that? Yet it was happening. And what you're mentioning is also important, is that you had basically a small amount of German Jews who left, and then I can give you a similar analogy. In Panama, you had a ship that was turned back, and they could have saved. So these are Zionists, right? They could have saved Jews on those ships by issuing them immigration certificates, and they didn't do it, and they just let the whole ship, everybody on board turn back, and who knows what happened to them, So it's really weird. All of these people, most of them, the majority that died in the camps and in the Holocaust, they're just working class, poor people that were put in ghettos and treated like crap by the Nazis. And unfortunately, they didn't have the connections and the financial means or the political connections to get out of Nazi Germany or, out of Nazi-occupied Europe like some other people did. And yeah, they were left to die, basically. So, many of them could have been saved well, not all of them, obviously, but many others who perished, they could have been saved. So I think it's scandalous. And then the Zionists, they like to use the Holocaust, as you just heard Netanyahu multiple times, to try and justify whatever the hell that they're doing when they didn't give a damn about them at the time. So, there's let me get the title of the book just so I can show it to you on the screen. Hold on. Yeah. Here, this is a good book. I'm not done with it quite yet, but it's called 51 Documents, Zionist Collaboration with the Nazis, and it's basically, like as it says here, it's split into different sections, right? So Stern Gang, as you all know, were a bunch of terrorists who then got integrated into what is today the IDF, and yeah, it's interesting, very interesting. And there's no commentary in this book. There's nothing from the author really. It's just the documents. You just read the documents as they are. I like that very much. So it's incredible. You did have absolutely, you had collaboration between Zionists and Nazi Germany because it's very opportunistic at the time. Zionists will probably tell you that they would just they'll either deny it or they'll just tell you that they just wanted to do anything at all costs to secure a Jewish state, as they call it, right? I mean, I guess that makes sense politically. It's expedient, right? It's pragmatic and expedient, but it doesn't excuse collaborating with Nazi Germany because it just doesn't. So maybe in their minds they justify it like that, but I don't think that that's okay. And especially when they then turn around and call anybody who criticizes the Nazis, like, what do you mean you're the ones that collaborated with them? Like, it's incredible. It's incredible. It's such an oxymoron. It's such a contradiction. Zionism, isn't it? It really is. Just like everything else in Zionism. I mean, anyway, good you bring it up. Good, very, very interesting and a good point. thank you to all of you for supporting the show. I really appreciate it, and I promised a crab dance, of course, to Dennis and Bruce. Thank you both for supporting the show. Everybody, give them a round of
Clap for that, you stupid bastard.
Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Listen, fuckhead, you fucking crossed the line, claiming I'm the enemy. You got that, you goddamn son of a bitch?
I don't give a fuck what you think, bitch.
Good morning. Sunday morning.
Cut that bitch off.
Thank you for Iron Dome.
Thank you.
والله في كلاب بصراحة يعني. ماشي نشتغل عادي.
We lied, we cheated, we stole.
China.
And you ain't black.
There's always the macro.
And then there's the micro.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
You talking to me? Ladies and gentlemen,
I'll have 2 number 9s, a number 9 large.
we got him. Because I have to do it myself. I know it's not...
I've fallen and I can't get up. Disgusting!
She was 12, I was 30, but anyway. We'll do it live! Fuck it! Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Why you text Sanders? Why? You're getting nervous, man. Calm down. It's okay. Okay.
Suck my dick and choke on it. I yield my time. Fuck you!
I mean, I'm just thinking of, Netanyahu again, and this whole speech where, wow, I mean, the nerve, really the nerve. It's every single one of these people, every single one of these, all of these senators and politicians that came to Congress to, cheer for Netanyahu and this genocide, they have stained the establishment. They have stained, their own careers, their own names, forever. They've stained America, as a country. I mean, who believes anything anymore about, human rights and democracy coming from the Americans anyway, right? But this really is the final nail in the coffin. They've sealed the United States' fate. It's over. It's really over. They have done that. They're responsible for that. A normal country, a rational country, does not receive and host people of this caliber. Yeah. I mean, it's bad enough they're not arresting him, and forget the ICC because the Americans are not members, but you could easily, and there are many, find many Palestinians in America who have been personally, hurt and put through misery and had their families torn apart by Israel's actions. Do you understand? It's the guy is criminally liable for the suffering of many people, and the fact that they receive him like this, like he's some kind of Nelson Mandela. I mean, just disgusting. At least shut up. At least just go meet him somewhere, making a big fuss out of it. Like this is another year, which is what they think it's going to be. We're just going to commit genocide, like we just bomb Gaza like usual, and it's just like always. It's not like always. It's not like always. It's not going to be business as usual. Literally, that's over. So shame on these politicians. Shame on them. Really, they're free to do whatever they want. I don't give a crap. But they have stained themselves forever. There is no moral standing to that justifies receiving Netanyahu. And these people, they've shown they're morally bankrupt. Truly, no moral standing whatsoever. Scandalous, absolutely scandalous. Enrique says, thanks from Brazil. We are with Lula and Palestine. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I appreciate it. And thank you also to Swiss Miss and K-Terra for joining on Patreon. I'll play you guys a crab dance in the at the curtain call. So again, thank you all for tuning in, guys. I'm much much appreciative of your support. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Ma salame. Bye-bye.
Clap for that, you stupid bastard.
Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Listen, fuckhead, you have fucking crossed the line, claiming I'm the enemy. You got that, you goddamn son of a bitch?
I don't give a fuck what you think, bitch.
Good morning. Sunday morning.
Cut that bitch off.
Thank you for Iron Dome.
Thank you.
والله في كلاب بصراحة يعني. ماشي نشتغل عادي.
We lied, we cheated, we stole.
China.
And you ain't black.
There's always the macro.
And then there's the micro.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
You talking to me? Ladies and gentlemen,
I'll have 2 number 9s. A number 9 large.
we got him.
Because I have to do it myself. I know it's not.
I've fallen and I can't get up. Disgusting!
She was 12, I was 30, but anyway. We'll do it live! Fuck it! Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Why you text Sanders? Why? Oh, you're getting nervous, man. Calm down. It's okay. Okay.
Suck my dick and choke on it. I yield my time. Fuck you!
A is for
All men and women created by go. You know the thing.
B is for
I'm beginning to see why your wife left you.
C is for
Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys.
D is for
Don't worry, I'm so serious. Children, I love to hear them.
E is for
Excuse to walk by the dealer and say, no, I'm not going to be a mule. I got something to do. I got to go do boom, boom, boom.
F is for
Friend, and she's a friend. She's been my friend in and out of public life.
G is for
Go to Joe 30330.
H is for
Hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down.
I is for
I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate.
J is for
Just look at the record.
I have President Biden, Vice President Biden.
Well, I tell you what, if you look at my record and you still doubt about my commitment, then you should vote for somebody else.
K is for
Kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
L is for
The lion, dog, face, pony soldier.
M is for
Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone, make sure the kids hear work.
N is for
NATO.
O is for
The only African-American woman that's ever been elected to the United States Senate.
P is for
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
R is for
Rest her soul, and although she's your mom's still alive.
S is for
Send a text to the word united.
T is for
Truth over facts.
U is for
Union workers, the UAW took incredible cuts in their future.
V is for
I'll vote for somebody else.
All right, thanks so much.
W is for
Why? Oh, you're getting nervous, man. Calm down. It's okay.
X is for
Xi Jinping.
Y is for
And you ain't black.
Z is for
She's sleeping?
Women in our country has been classified as essential. So this is an issue.
By the way, this is my little sister Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh no, this is Val, you switched on me. This is my wife, this is my sister. They switched on me.